Unprecedented smoke fills the skies above Wisconsin, and unprecedented hot air coming from the usual suspects trying to blame it on climate change. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Dan O'Donnell Show. A whole lot to get to on the program this afternoon. Continued fallout from the Sarah Rodriguez scandal. And she reported just $34,000 in cash on hand as campaign finance reports were due at 11:59 last night. She loaded hers at about 11:58 p.m. How do I know? I stayed up because I am just that nerdy, ladies and gentlemen. Those numbers on the Democrat side probably mean that this primary is, for all intents and purposes, over. Francesca Hong raised a respectable amount of money. She did not blow through a massive amount of money, as you would expect a good socialist would, since it's, other people's. And this probably means that she is going to be able to solidify her support. We will get into all things campaign finance, Sarah Rodriguez scandal. There are a couple of new wrinkles in that, and why it is that even she at this point has to know that her campaign is done. In fact, this scandal is so big and so consuming that it probably is going to end her political career. She is not going to come back from this, because all anyone is ever going to remember about her is the fact that her campaign could not even count properly. So why is she staying in this race? Well, I think you don't need to look at how little her campaign raised. You need to look at how much it owes. We will get to all that, plus big announcement from President Trump today in an address to the nation. 8 o'clock p.m. We will be carrying it live on our flagship station, News Talk 1130 WISN here in Milwaukee. He is going to talk about election integrity and attempts to meddle in American elections, not including Russia in 2020. Everything he says, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt assures us in a press briefing this afternoon, he is going to be backed by evidence, is going to be backed by findings of the federal government, and it is going to paint a disturbing picture of just what was going on, yes, in the controversial 2020 presidential election. Then, is it possible that the rise of socialism is going to be as big a boost for Republicans in a midterm election that they're expected to lose as the surprise Dobbs v. Jackson women's health decision in 2022 by the Supreme Court, which overturned Roe v. Wade, was a huge boon to Democrats in a midterm election that they were expected to be blown out in? We will discuss coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Right now, though, the 3 o'clock word in the Sizzlin' Summer Cash Contest. A reminder, if you go to our website, you may see the Inflation Vacation Cash Contest. You may be wondering, hey, I think this is the wrong contest. No, it's not. It is the Sizzlin' Summer Cash Contest. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet, I believe Shakespeare famously said. Whatever you call it, it is $1,000 in your pocket if you win it. Go to our website, enter the keyword bank, $1,000 in the bank. If you enter the word bank, B-A-N-K, bank, go to newstalk1130.com, WIBA.com, really any iHeartMedia website, enter the word bank, and you will win $1,000. Good luck from all of us here at iHeartMedia. If you would like to join the Dan O'Donnell Show at any point today, we keep our phone lines open every single minute of every single day. It's not open line Friday, it's open line every day. 414-799-1130. That is our Carpetland USA Flooring Center talk and text line. You can always email me, DOD@iHeartMedia.com. Follow the show on social media at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We are streaming everywhere. Don't just listen, watch the show. Streaming live via the DanoCam. Join the conversation. Add your 2 cents whenever you want at Dan O'Donnell Show. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, aka X, or YouTube. And of course, if you miss a single second, listen to Download, subscribe to, like, thumbs up, heart emoji, poop emoji if you must, the Dan O'Donnell Show podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts. Before we get into any and all political talk, we've got to get to something that should not be political, but invariably is. The weather, not the climate. You'll notice I said the weather. The smoke outside is not caused by climate change. It is not exacerbated by climate change. It is, unfortunately, a natural occurrence. And it is sparked by the most natural occurrence that there is, lightning. Roughly 55%, or about 9 per day, of the wildfires that have started in Canada. And for those who aren't quite sure why it looks like we're all living in the middle of a campfire, it's because there are wildfires that have burned out of control in northwestern Canada, and they have burned all the way down. The winds are coming down from Canada, and they're blowing all of that smoke into the upper United States. Northern Wisconsin is being hit very hard, and Milwaukee and Madison have some of the worst air quality right now in the entire world. In fact, I don't say this lightly. Normally, I say, all right, we're used to this sort of stuff. We're hardy Wisconsinites. We'll walk outside when there's a blizzard warning just to say we were walking outside in a blizzard. When there are tornado warnings, I can't tell you how many videos I see on social media of people filming themselves standing on the porch watching the tornado tear through about 150, 200 yards away. Suffice it, okay, maybe not that close, 1,000 yards away. I'd like to think that nobody is that dumb. But the point is that we kind of know our limit when it comes to going out in bad weather in Wisconsin because we're so used to bad weather in Wisconsin. This is quite bad. I was outside just randomly for a couple of minutes this morning. I was coaching a soccer game last night. Shocker that I was outside coaching a soccer game last night. At about 7 p.m. it started. And if it wasn't 100 degrees when the temperature started dropping, you would have called it a pneumonia front because the temperature dropped within about 10 to 15 minutes, about 15 degrees. That was the smoke blowing in. Almost instantly, the air got thicker. You could feel it in your lungs, at least I could. It was almost like you had just smoked 2 packs of Newports. I am still, folks, and I had childhood asthma, but have not had any lung issues or anything that would impair my breathing. I was outside for an hour, hour and a half last night, and maybe 25 to 30 minutes total today. Folks, I'm telling you, I still have a headache. I still feel like my lungs are sort of on fire. This is no joke. It is not safe to be outside for extended periods. As a result, I'm sure if your kid has a baseball game tonight or there is softball practice or something else, it's been canceled. Now we're hearing that while this air quality alert has been scheduled to expire by about midday Friday, that the poor air quality across much of Wisconsin could continue, especially in southeast Wisconsin. The Madison area is going to get a bit of a reprieve over the weekend as there's going to be some rain. There's going to be a little bit of rain that's going to help dissipate that smoke. The wind is going to shift, I believe, in northwestern Wisconsin. Southeast Wisconsin may have to deal with this until early next week. So that could mean graduation parties outside. That could mean cookouts, family reunions, whatever it is, those could be impacted. In fact, a friend of mine was scheduled to go on a big annual camping trip that they do every single year. They canceled it because of how bad the air quality is going to be. It is not particularly safe out. And anytime there is unsafe weather or there's any weather that appears to be out of the ordinary, what happens? Now, you're not seeing it as much as you did in the past couple of years, but you see people try to convince you that this is because of human activity, that this is because of man-made climate change. Well, no. This is, as I said, mostly caused by lightning. Even though the majority, just a slight majority of all of Canada's wildfires are caused by lightning, 45% are caused by human beings. And usually it's not intentionally set fires. It's somebody who doesn't quite put out the campfire, someone who has a cigarette that is lit. They think they put it out. It sparks and it goes up. 92% of the area burned by Canadian wildfires is from wildfires that are lightning struck. And the reason for this is because lightning will strike in an area where human beings just do not live. Canada is a massive country, but only the southern part, because of how cold and just how brutal the winters are throughout most of the northern and central parts of Canada, nobody lives there. If you notice, all of the big cities, the three biggest cities in Canada, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, all of them are right at the southernmost border of Canada. That's not an accident. Well, most of these fires are starting far to the north of the habitable or inhabited areas, and they're burning for many, many days, sometimes many, many weeks before they're even detected. And that's the critical thing. These fires are starting and these fires are spreading in areas that are just not places that human beings would ever go. Here's the thing. This is not a particularly bad year for forest fires in Canada. In terms of the number of fires and in terms of just the area that has been burned, it's actually below the same point last year, the number of fires and the area burned. And last year was a pretty normal year. The big year was 2023. And that was when there was a huge effort to convince you that our warming world was responsible. Okay, Dan, well, the fires are actually started by lightning, or they're started by some Canuck who doesn't know how to properly put out a campfire. I get it. But it's the warmer, the drier climate that is obviously providing more fuel for these fires, right? Wrong. In fact, satellite data shows that the total area of the entire world that has been burned by wildfires has fallen by about 25% over the past quarter century. In fact, the record low for total area burned by wildfires was actually in 2022, the year before the record wildfire year of 2023. And we probably all remember that year here in Wisconsin because a lot of that smoke came down here and interrupted our summer just as it is right now. New York Post reported on this at the time. For more than 2 decades, satellites have recorded fires across the planet's surface. The data is unequivocal. Since the early 2000s, when 3% of the world's land caught fire, the area burned annually has trended downward. In 2022, the last year for which there is complete data, the world hit a record low of 2.2% burned area. That from the New York Post in 2023. The number of fires in Canada, just specifically in Canada, has also declined significantly since the late 1980s. If it was responsible, if it was the responsibility, if it was the cause of all of this was climate change. And of course, the trend is that we're in a warming world. We are just getting warmer and warmer and warmer. You would think that if a warmer world means drier air, hotter air, and a climate that is more conducive to wildfires and wildfires blowing out of control, you would think that the number of fires in Canada would increase, right? It hasn't. Not only that, the number of huge fires that we're getting, that's totally variable. That goes up. You'll see a spike in 2023. You don't even see a spike in 2026 because it's not a particularly bad year. The total amount of area that has been burned by these wildfires, that's just not going up. Too. In the United States, we typically see the most forest fires in the western part of the United States. Over the past 20 years, the total number of fires has been down about 28%. So what is actually causing these fires to blow all of this smoke southward to Wisconsin? What is causing these fires, these massive fires, to build and to get the smoke here? It's known as the fire paradox, and we will explain exactly what that is and why it's not climate change, but climate hysteria that is more to blame. Stay tuned. The Dan O'Donnell Show will be right back in just 3 minutes.
For superior carpet cleaning, hire a company with over 75 years of experience that will get the job done right the first time. Always clean, always on time. Edelman.
Edelman Carpet, Furniture, and Drapery Cleaning. It's Edelman again.
Edelman. Dave Spano, CEO of Annex Wealth Management, a fee-only fiduciary.
Fee-only fiduciary really further separates the folks that either say fiduciary some of the time or best interest altogether. And it's not just that alone. It is, of course, everything else that we can bring to the table that this just isn't asset management. It is estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, all of it wrapped together in one transparent fee.
Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management. Click the Get Started button at annexwealth.com.
Hey, everyone, it's Vicki McKenna. When I decided to update my home, I called Wilco Exteriors, and I'm so glad I did. From the very first visit, they listened carefully, gave me a clear and honest estimate, and answered every question I had. No pressure, just real advice. The installation team arrived on time, kept everything neat, and worked fast and efficiently. In just one day, my new windows were in, and what a difference it made. The quality is outstanding. My energy bills are already going down, and the whole house looks fantastic. This July, Wilco is celebrating America's 250th with 25% off LP Smart Side Siding, windows, and full exterior projects. If you want the same great experience I had, visit WilcoEXT.com right now. That's WilcoEXT.com. You won't regret it. Wilco Exteriors, built with integrity. That's WilcoEXT.com. And don't forget to tell them Vicki McKenna sent you.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers, and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
A tour de force of truth, the sort of truth the rest of the media used to bring you. But now, since they've abdicated their responsibility, I guess it is up to us. Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show as we go out to the phones and talk to Greg, listening to us in Germantown. Greg, welcome to the program. How are you holding up in that smoke, sir?
Not real good. Hey, Dan. I work for a pretty large environmental company, and if we were spewing toxics in the air like this and pollution, we'd be shut down in a heartbeat from the EPA or the DNR, or we'd be fined heavily. There's absolutely no consequences for Canada to control these wildfires. We don't let things burn uncontrollably. If we had Dow Chemical spewing chemicals across the border, you think Canada wouldn't do something to try to sue us or push the issue? Why don't we get some kind of legislation to have some kind of consequences, whether it's tariffs, fines, or We go out and put their wildfires out, and they reimburse us like twice the cost, whether we use our military or our firefighting capabilities with airplanes, helicopters, or whatever. Because this is a health. This is definitely affecting people's health down here in Wisconsin. And if you can't go outside on a given day, something needs to be done here. We can't just let these things go.
Here's one of the big issues that you're going to run into. And please don't misunderstand. I don't disagree that there is a big component of this that is poor forest management. You run into a problem called act of God. Because most of these fires are started by lightning strikes, you really don't have much recourse. Okay. Not only that, because you have hold on a sec, Greg. I know. You let me get like one sentence out. Gotta let me keep going. Okay, buddy? Because I'm getting to exactly what you're going to say or exactly what you want to hear. Even though it is an act of God. And one of the big problems you're also going to run into is, as I said in that first segment, is a lot of these are starting in extremely remote areas where these things don't get detected. And you can say, oh, well, we can, send planes up there. Yeah, theoretically, the Canadian government can. It is a massive, truly massive area. Until you start being able to see these fires on satellite, it's impossible to know that they're even going on. Now, when you say you want Canada to put out every single fire that burns, you got to put out every single wildfire, that actually leads to what I don't think a lot of people realize, and why it is that the climate hysteria is actually fueling these massive wildfires from going out of control. Have you ever heard of, Greg, the fire paradox? Have you ever heard about this?
I've heard some.
You've heard about that? I'll be honest with you. I kind of knew this intrinsically. I didn't know in forest fire prevention and forest management that there was actually something that, there was a name given to it. The fire paradox says that if you put out pretty much every single fire, which
I didn't say to put out every single fire. I said to control the ones.
Yes,
big ones
I'm aware, Greg. I know you are not the one who is personally responsible for Canada's wildfires growing out of control, but you got to let me finish here, bud. Okay, please.
All right.
If you put out every single fire, okay, fire paradox, you're familiar with this. If you put out every single fire, the ones that are small, the ones that just every single one, this leads up to a whole lot of dead wood. You get a lot of just dense underbrush, and it creates what's known as ladder fuels. Instead of natural burns that basically kind of clear out everything, if you put everything out, this creates fuel for fires that then get very, very big very, very quick. They get out of control and they burn without any hope of man being able to put them out until they sort of run out of fuel and burn themselves out naturally. What do you think was the big reason behind this idea that we need to put out every single fire, that we need to just take care of it? It was, of course, the climate change philosophy. Even though we knew about the fire paradox, like human beings knew that if you put out every single fire, if you put out every single thing and you don't let some of them burn, you get what we're getting now here, Greg. You get these giant fires that have smoke billow everywhere down south into the United States. So when this stuff is burning, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Oh, okay.
What's the solution then?
I was hearing some noises go over there. I was like, the smoke didn't get you, Greg, I hope. The solution here is to go back to, and this is the thing that I couldn't figure out. I was talking about this with someone. Greg, you probably remember this. When you were younger, when you were a kid, you don't remember stuff like this where we would just have days and days and days where you can't go outside because there's too much smoke in the air. I don't remember any of this. It's because we knew about the fire paradox. It's because
I'm well trained in this area because my background is in environmental sciences and the forestry management. So I'm well aware of how this works, but you can't just keep letting things go totally uncontrolled when it comes to forest fires. You're just going to let them burn themselves out, all of them, and affect air quality.
Well, this is what's happening, though. So if you understand the fire paradox, you understand, Greg, that what's going on is because some of these small fires, or what are known as controlled burns, where you literally just burn underbrush and make sure that there are burn lines away from inhabited areas, that's not going on. Because the idea here is, for a whole lot of climate alarmists, is that you want to put out every single fire because you don't want anything. Well, some of these you just have to let burn. I'm not saying that the giant ones. My point is that because responsible forest management with controlled burns, with letting some of these smaller fires burn out, instead of just trying, oh my gosh, we got to put out every single one. This is the fire paradox. This leads to the buildup of fuel that actually is paradoxically making for more fires. It's making worse fires. It's making fires that are capable, when the winds are blowing south and blowing strongly enough, to get all of the smoke down into Wisconsin. Climate alarm has made it very difficult to, especially in a left-wing government like Canada, say, all right, let's say you're in, Alberta province, and it's dominated by climate alarmist lefties. You want to stand up and say, hey, you know what? We sort of understood the fire paradox, and we sort of understood forest management for centuries. Maybe we should keep doing what we used to do to ensure that we don't have these wild, out-of-control fires every couple of years. Well, it's made it much more difficult to openly advocate that, to say, hey, we need to let some of these remote fires burn. We need to have controlled burns. This conflicts with this narrative that all forest fires are bad. Climate change is making the forest fires worse. We need to do all we can to prevent, to stop this from happening. It's man-made climate change, and we need to stop it. Well, you saw this just a couple of years ago, year and a half ago, in California. Responsible forest management practices were not followed. There were not burn lines that were cut. There was not underbrush that was cleared out because it's deforestation. We can't have deforestation. So what you have are fires that don't burn as much land. And this is why you're seeing the total area of fire being consumed, total area of land being consumed by fire down significantly. But you do see some terribly bad fires that pop up because we're not doing what we had always done as human beings to try to stop this. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Much more coming up next.
Selling your home is one of the biggest financial decisions you'll make. Hi, this is Chris Leby with Lake Country Flat Fee. If you're still considering a 6% broker, you're paying too much. We deliver full-service real estate with expert agents and a 24-year track record. Smart sellers are keeping thousands more in their pockets. You should too. Our sellers save about 50% versus a traditional 6% broker. To learn more or to schedule a free market analysis, visit our website at lakecountryflatfee.com.
Want to see my drawers?
He means the drawers of the Briley bedroom from Penny Mustard.
With full extension drawer glides and sturdy bottoms that are 3/8 of an inch thick.
Strong enough to stand on.
And that's good because nothing's worse than when your bottom falls out.
He means your drawer bottom.
What are you waiting for? Come see my drawers.
The Briley bedroom, American made with a queen bed, dresser, mirror, and nightstand, starting at $99.33 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Hey, it's Dan, and the path towards feeling better isn't always a straight line. When life twists and turns, Sagent Behavioral Health is there to support you through every curve and bump along the way. They offer trusted therapy, psychiatry, and substance abuse treatment throughout the Milwaukee area. Their compassionate team meets you where you are and walks alongside you to create meaningful, lasting change. With in-person and telehealth appointment options and a wide network of accepted insurance plans, their care is designed to support and move with you. It's one of the largest outpatient mental health providers in the Midwest and provides therapy, psychiatry, substance abuse disorder treatment, and other mental health services. And their team includes licensed therapists, psychiatrists, alcohol and drug counselors, practitioners and care professionals working together to support whole person health. Sagent Behavioral Health. New name, same care. Learn more and find a clinic near you at sagentbh.com.
Divorce is challenging, but getting a favorable outcome shouldn't be. I'm attorney Tom Grieve with Divergent Family Law. At Divergent Family Law, our experienced attorneys are committed to helping you understand your rights and options. We believe everyone deserves guidance through life's toughest transitions. During our free consultation, we'll give you a clear breakdown of the process and a flat rate quote for representation. Our attorneys will give you an honest assessment of your options based on Wisconsin law and your local judges. They'll help you make informed, confident decisions. You deserve to feel secure, not shortchanged. You may feel pressured to play nice with your spouse, or you may feel like you have no choice but to dig your heels in to fight on every topic. But being fair doesn't mean giving up your fair share. At Divergent Family Law, we're here to protect your future and prioritize what's truly important to you. You can be fair and still get your fair share, or better. Reach out now for a free divorce consultation. Go to divergentfamilylaw.com. That's divergentfamilylaw.com.
There are only a handful of carpet cleaning companies in the country who guarantee results, and we're one of them. It's no wonder why we're Wisconsin's most trusted carpet cleaner.
Edelman Carpet Furniture and Drapery Cleaning.
It's Edelman again. Edelman.
I'm Tom Tiffany, and for some reason, Madison Democrats say I'm too cliche. Well, I did grow up milking cows on a Wisconsin dairy farm. My mom quilts. Hi. I've been a dam tender, boat captain, husband, and girl dad with perfect attendance at 20 Nutcrackers. I love the Packers, Brewers, Badgers, and of course the Bucks. Butterburgers, old fashions, everything Wisconsin except Madison politics. I'm Tom Tiffany. I'm running for governor to bring down the cost of living by cutting property taxes, utility rates, and red tape. By stopping institutional investors on Wall Street from buying our homes and big data from bulldozing our farmland. Finally, I will audit every state government agency to root out all the waste and fraud you and I both know is happening in Madison. Cliche? You betcha.
Paid for by Tiffany for Wisconsin.
Imagine driving up to your home and loving it. Let's transform your home into the home you've always wanted. It all starts with a call or a visit to TriCountyContractingWI.com. Roofing, siding, and windows that will make you love your home again. Tri-County Contracting.
Here's why. Injured? It is about the money. Warshawski.com. I'm attorney Frank Crivello of the Warshawski Personal Injury Law Firm. Many personal injury firms operate as settlement clearinghouses. It's a low overhead, except for the cost of marketing, and profitable business model for a law firm. They advertise, take cases, and negotiate settlements. They get paid, their clients get paid, everyone is happy. Or are they? If you have a multi-million-dollar injury and settle for a few $100,000, your standard of living for the rest of your life will be terribly impacted. On the other side is Warshawski. From the moment we take your case, we prepare to win at trial. Warshawski is a collection of some of the most accomplished and award-winning personal injury attorneys in Wisconsin, with the most experienced investigators and legal professionals backing their every move. Making injured Wisconsinites whole isn't a game or an act. At Warshawski, it is our calling. We will hold the defendants accountable in your case by making them pay. Injured? It is about the money. Warshawski.com, 414-276-4970.
iHeartRadio FIFA World Cup Update.
Argentina is back in the World Cup final after more late-game magic. England's Harry Kane reflecting on his team giving up the 2 late goals in yesterday's loss.
We struggled to keep the ball, we struggled to put pressure on the ball, and it just allowed them to create more momentum. It created more attacks for them in our final third.
Argentina meets Spain in Sunday's final. England plays France in the third-place match Saturday.
Download the iHeartRadio app for live Fox coverage of every game.
Conservative thought, not just talk. Remember when, if you were an elder millennial or a Gen Xer, do you remember when you were in school and rap music was new in like the mid to late 1980s, and every dorky white teacher had to make a rap to help you learn social studies? Well, ladies and gentlemen, our unhinged liberals of the day have taken that concept into the mid-2020s and have made a rap about the latest woke movie. We'll get to that in about 15 minutes. I was thinking about this while talking to my last caller. I think I didn't quite explain well enough what the fire paradox actually is. I think he thought that I was saying, well, just let this thing burn. Just let it burn and don't do anything about it. No. What controlled burns are is specifically clearing underbrush, clearing dead material, getting rid of things that will go up when you do have a massive forest fire that is just impossible to control and needs to be allowed to burn out on its own. If you're not doing what we have understood to be responsible forest management, clearing underbrush, doing controlled burns, getting burn lines to keep fires away from inhabited areas, then you get fires like the ones that we're seeing now. And there is also, I don't want to allow Minnesota to escape blame here. The Boundary Water area, there is a fire there for precisely this reason. They didn't clear up from past fires. They didn't clear out the areas that were sort of burned out, but there's a whole lot of dry, there's a whole lot of dead material that will just go up like a matchstick the next time that there's a fire. I'm not saying that we can't do it. I'm saying the United States suing Canada is probably not going to be feasible. Tariffs, sure, to try to get some sort of international agreement on responsible forest management. I can tell you what, I never want to hear a single Canadian ever complain about pollution in the United States or just how much we're impacting our air quality after having had to breathe this for much of the day and last night. The reality is what we're seeing is a fire that is big, that is out of control, that needs to be put out. And yes, there is an attempt to get it out right now. I'm not saying let one like this. I'm saying ensure that big, massive, randomly occurring fires like this don't happen with greater frequency because of climate concerns. We're not doing the things that might have the environmentalists squealing about deforestation, but that we know prevent big fires like this. So what I'm saying is the fire paradox says let smaller fires burn, allow underbrush, dead material to be cleared out. This requires a lot better monitoring and a lot more responsive firefighting and all of this. And admittedly, a lot of this is not particularly possible because some of these things start in far northern Canada and are burning for weeks without ever being detected. The ones that are not, those are the ones that need to be allowed to burn if they're not going to get huge, and stopped, because when they get to the point where they're threatening inhabited areas, if you try to take out, this is the fire paradox. Again, I know it's so counterintuitive. I had to read through this like 4 times today before I fully, so wait a second. You let small fires burn so that bigger fires don't have more fuel to burn through and get even bigger. Yes, that is precisely what Canada needs to be doing. Let's go to Ryan in Brown Deer up next on the Dan O'Donnell Show. What's going on, Brian or Ryan?
Yeah, how you doing? I just want to make a couple of comments. In every territory up there in Canada, there needs to be an accounting of how many fire lookouts or fire rangers they have stationed all throughout those forests. I mean, from what I remember, there's fire lookouts all over Canada. There are fire lookouts in stations and cabins all over the place. And if they can make, we already know if they can make snow, if they can make rain. I mean, why don't these forests up there in Canada have these machines
like
around
cloud
so
seeding?
that they can saturate? Yeah, you can cloud seed. You can use the planes. You can use lower level ground bearing machines to make snow and to make rain. And if you deluge the ground, the fire can't burn in the first place. This is totally solvable, but Canada is not fixing these problems on purpose.
And I think actually the bigger one,
on purpose.
It certainly does seem that way. Because it's not because, well, we want the United States
making a stab at the United States.
I don't think that's it. Ryan, I don't think that's it. I think it's actually a little bit. It's not insidious, but it's actually worse. I think they believe they're doing what's right by the environment. I think they genuinely feel, okay, we are doing the best thing for Mother Earth. Hey, you don't hear any disagreement from me. I actually think one of the biggest things, and I was reading about this today, I did a shocking amount of research into forest management and Canadian wildfires. You're absolutely right. Apparently, there has been a dramatic reduction in the number of fire lookouts, like staffed towers that basically do exactly what you said. Just watch out for fires starting to burn so we can determine whether there are ones that are starting to burn out of control. That was a fantastic call, Ryan. As far as cloud seeding goes, as I understand it, that's not really a huge effort. I mean, I'm open to the idea if there is technology that can make cloud seeding more effective so that we're able to better produce rain. When we're talking about you can make fake snow, it's blowing snow on a very small area of like a ski hill, right? What you would need to make rain is you can't just blow the rain onto, an area near the ground here. That's called a hose, right? And that's essentially what they have to make the snow. They have hoses that just kind of spit out snow, and you've got an area where you can ski. What you need to do is, and I don't pretend to know exactly how cloud seeding is done, but you would need to do it at sort of an industrial scale. The biggest thing is prevention and having more people to look out for these fires. Clearly, the Canadian government has been an abject failure in this. And the thing that's remarkable to me is that you see this same failure in leftist states like California. We just had a big, colossal failure. In fact, I got a text from a friend of mine who said, how much you want to bet at some point we're going to hear about a reservoir in Canada that was just never filled up, that there's going to be some level of bureaucratic incompetence that is responsible for this. Yeah, I don't doubt that whatsoever. And one of the biggest things that has just tripped my trigger about this is that this did not happen when we had people who were not insane with left-wing ideology and virtue signaling about climate, saying you can never, ever, ever do anything to clear the virgin forest because that amounts to deforestation and is bad. You can't ever, ever allow any fire to burn, and I'm not saying let it burn out of control, but let it burn so that it clears. These are called controlled burns. These are called responsible forestry practices that we did for decades, if not centuries. Now you have people who are saying, well, everything that we have done in the past is wrong, including environmentalism. Well, I would rather take the word of an 18th century lumberjack over a 21st century environmentalist in what's best for the virgin forest. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Coming up next, we name the unhinged liberal of the day.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
In Delafield, the Highway 16 eastbound exit ramp to Highway 83 has reopened from an earlier accident. Southbound on 43 slammed from Capitol down to the Marquette, and westbound on 94 between 35th and Hawley. Eastbound delays 68th to 35th. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Grand Appliance. The Red, White, and Cool sale is on at Grand Appliance. Grand makes upgrading to GE Profile or Cafe easy with thousands in stock, fast delivery, and professional installation. Shop in store or grandappliance.com. Grand Appliance, appliance expert since 1930.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. I've been a big proponent of Lynch for a while now. Here's why. They're literally a family dealership and have been since 1957. That's increasingly rare in the dealership world today, but the Lynch family employs 500 plus people who are all dedicated to taking care of you. They've got a wide selection of new and used vehicles, extended service department hours for early drop-offs and late pickups, and most importantly, they're proud supporters of our local communities and schools. They also stand behind what they sell with Lynch certified used vehicles, including a 168-point inspection to determine eligibility, an unparalleled 90-day or 3,000-mile certified guarantee, and a 10-day 500-mile exchange policy. And when you pair this with the Lynch Protected program, they cover your paint, your windshield, and your tires, it's easy to see why you should consider Lynch. Check them out today at shoplynch.com.
At Ross Dental, your journey to smiling like you just don't care because you don't isn't paved with anxiety, discomfort, or judgment. People should be judged by the content of their character, not the straightness, color, or condition of their smile. No matter how much restoration required, Ross Dental's gentle, caring staff won't judge you. Ross Dental does cutting-edge laser dentistry, maximizing patient comfort and health. Laser removal of tooth decay requires 0 shots. For almost everyone, it's painless. Procedures are faster, no numb mouth, 0 shots. Smile like you just don't care, because you don't. RossDentalNewBerlin.com. Lasers don't churn up infected tissue. They kill bacteria, fungus, even viruses, dramatically reducing infection-spreading bioaerosols old technology drills cause. Laser dentistry is ideal for cavity treatment, and less collateral tissue damage treating gum disease or canker sores speeds up recovery. Ross Dental's convenient payment options, low, even no radiation imagery, and sedation dentistry eliminate every reason to neglect your teeth. Schedule your cleaning or cosmetic assessment today, and soon you'll smile like you just don't care, because you don't. RossDentalNewBerlin.com.
Business owners, now is the time to sell your business and take advantage of this red-hot seller's market. For more information, visit LakeCountryAdvisors.com and schedule your free exit strategy consultation. Local, experienced, and trusted, we are Lake Country Advisors.
Time once again for This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Dan O'Donnell alongside the CEO of Annex, Dave Spano. And this week, we're once again talking about uncertainty surrounding Iran. But this time, it doesn't seem as though there's a deal in the offing, Dave, as the president has formally reinstated hostilities against Iran, targeted attacks against the nation. And that is obviously having a profound impact on global markets.
Yeah, that's right. So despite the elevated geopolitical risk, we're going to continue to watch that. And of course, you really can't manage money, Dan, to geopolitical risk because you just don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. But more importantly, what does it do to the economics? And so we're going to get a headline number that's probably negative 0.2 on inflation. And the reason why is because oil prices have come down so precipitously. And now you're going to start to see them work back up. It really is going to work into what the Fed looks like through the lens that the Fed looks at inflation. And so therefore, does Kevin Warsh, does he do something? Does the new Fed chairman make a change? These are things that we're going to look at. But what people should focus on, Dan, is the fact that last quarter earnings were up nearly 28% year over year, and they're expected to be up 20+% in this quarter as well. And so we're going to have a bumpy ride likely through the summer. Overall, a disciplined, true long-term perspective on your portfolio is the path forward.
And that's why you really do need to have a better understanding of what it is that you actually own and why it is you own it, especially when we do have so much uncertainty. You also don't want to overreact to things that, as Dave said, can change day by day or even minute by minute. You need to be working with someone who's working with and for you as a fee-only fiduciary. Get started with a free portfolio review at AnnexWealth.com. For Dave Spano, the CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. This has been This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
From the road to the roof, S&K will fix your plumbing problems 24/7.
Welcome back. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Coming up, I wasn't aware that the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, was back. Was this her first press briefing back after maternity leave? If she had had one before, I was not aware of it. We will get to what she said, a little preview of what President Trump is going to say tonight in his big press conference. First, it's time now to name the unhinged liberal of the day. Producer Armin, going to need your help here on playing this cut. The new Odyssey movie that's out in theaters this weekend, I believe it opens in previews tonight, is being derided as something of a woke mess. Predictably, inclusive casting. The character of Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships, who is described as being fair-skinned and blonde in Homer's original epic, is played by Lupita Nyong'o, who is African-American, another character who was rumored to first be the spirit of Achilles, who Odysseus meets in the underworld, is played by Elliot Page. Fortunately, they changed the script a little bit. I think even woke Hollywood recognizes that Elliot Page is not going to be able to pull off playing the greatest warrior of ancient Greece. Instead, she is playing a different character. So a lot of people online are saying, this seems like a whole lot of trash. Well, in order to try to get people to watch the woke Odyssey, just like all of our teachers back in the 1980s, they decided to do a cringe rap featuring members of the cast, including Nyong'o, Matt Damon, who plays Odysseus, Tom Holland, and more. It is every bit as cringe as you think it is.
Odysseus,
Telemachus, Penelope,
Antinous, Odysseus,
Athena,
Telemachus,
Calypso, Penelope,
Menelaus,
and Helen of Troy.
Odyssey.
After the Iliad,
Hidden horse,
won the war. Yeah, I'm serious.
Odyssey, pitching for Ithaca,
Get past the Peloponnesian Peninsula.
Odyssey,
Mediterranean.
Cyclops,
And crater his cranium.
Circe is cursing them.
Men into bacon bits.
Gotta go.
On the road. Head to where Hades is.
Odysseus,
Athena,
Telemachus,
Calypso, Penelope,
Menelaus.
and Helen of Troy.
We could be Homer. The way we go over.
The story in 6 feet.
Pull it, examine it.
Call it whatever, so long as it's this beat. Sirens and suitors and suitors.
And Zilla,
Charybdis. Don't munch on the moors. But Helen, Athena, are helpful and generous.
help me get home.
To defeat that
Antinous, tell me,
muse of that hero who's
traveled so
far and so wide and is
like him,
unraveled and
tell me,
muse of that hero who's
gotta be
tired as hell. All because of
the Odyssey. Odysseus,
The Odyssey.
Telemachus,
The Odyssey. Penelope. The Odyssey.
Antinous,
The Odyssey.
Odysseus,
Athena.
Telemachus,
Penelope.
the Odyssey.
I don't know what's worse, when all the celebrities got together to sing Imagine during COVID-19, or that which might have actually poisoned my ears. It doesn't get much more cringe than The Odyssey, The Odyssey, The Odyssey. They started with the actual Tell Me, O Muse of, that's actually how Homer's epic begins, and then they get to a guy who was tired as hell. If we have time later on today, we are going to get to the culture. By the way, every one of those Hollywood libs who, I can't believe Matt Damon couldn't exercise a clause in his contract to say there is no way in hell I'm taking part in a cringe rap, because Matt Damon grew up in an era where his social studies teacher came out in front of the class and said, "My name is Mr. Smith, and I'm here to say we learn about history every day." I'm telling every 90s kid just absolutely recoiled in horror when we heard that cringy rap. If we have time, we are going to get into the backlash against cultural wokeness and the force feeding of crap and race swapped characters that fortunately conservatives are finally standing up against. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the NX Wealth Management Studios. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN. Milwaukee, an iHeartRadio station. Guaranteed human.
Good afternoon. I'm Dave Michaels. A man from Kenosha has filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against 3 Kenosha police officers as well as the city. Jermell English Jr. alleges the officers used excessive force and arrested him without probable cause during an incident in 2023 inside of an Applebee's. B. Ivory Lamar is English's attorney.
We have filed a $5 million demand in our lawsuit to help compensate Mr. English for medical bills, the pain and suffering that he has realized. In addition, there's also the mental anguish aspect of what took place.
Officers allegedly focused on English based on what was being described as vague similarities to the suspect's description. The effort to recall the mayor of Cudahy, Ken Jankowski, will not move forward after organizers failed to gather enough signatures. And questions continue to grow about the spiraling war between both the U.S. and Iran. Fox's Aisha Hasni is at the White House.
Iran continues to dominate headlines. Out of the White House, the release of the American yesterday, Dina Karari, the president thanking Iran for that, even as strikes continue. Iran, of course, striking Gulf allies even into today. The ceasefire clearly off, but where are we in talks? That is the big question of the day. The conflict also exposing growing divides in the Democratic Party here at home when it comes to Israel. More than 100 Democrats yesterday on Capitol Hill voted to block $3 billion in aid to Israel. It failed because of Republicans.
Checking the Holiday Automotive of Fond du Lac Sports Scoreboard. The NBA announced today they will not punish the Miami Heat's Bam Adebayo for striking. Now, former teammate and current Milwaukee Buck Tyler Hero at a Las Vegas gym last week. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Dave Michaels on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Here's the latest forecast, powered by WillysWorldCustoms.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Wildfire smoke will continue through at least noon on Friday, getting better Friday afternoon. A few rain showers overnight and isolated thunderstorms on Friday, a high of 93 with a heat index of 99. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Tom Walks.
This report is sponsored by Infinity Exteriors. On your way to and from work and in your neighborhood, every day you drive by a beautiful Infinity Exteriors home. Infinity is proud to be chosen Wisconsin's residential roofing contractor of the year. Start your project at infinityexteriors.com.
Race it at Nice Hardware in Menominee Falls for the DeWalt Tool July sale event. Get $100 off and a free 5-amp battery on the 20-volt Max Blower and String Trimmer combo kit. Buy a 2-pack of 5-amp batteries for $199.99 and get a select Bear tool for free. DeWalt reps on site Wednesday, July 22nd from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with the DeWalt race car between 11 and 4. And exclusive one-day only deals. Be in the victory lane of savings at Nye's July sale event featuring DeWalt power tools. Nye's, Highway 41 and 45 and Q in Menominee Falls. Visit NEUShardware.com for details.
Investors trying to make sense of the markets, looking to diversify out of the craziness? Listen to The Gold Show with Walt Phillips right here on WISN this Sunday at 3 p.m. Tune in for Walt's Insights in The Gold Show this Sunday at 3 p.m.
I'm David Ortiz. When I lost my mom, she was only 46, and I lost my dad to cancer. It was the worst pain I ever felt. It made me think, what will happen with the people I love when my time is up? That's why I have life insurance. Ethos makes it easy. You start online, take about 10 minutes, and you can get up to $3 million in coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid testimonial. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers, and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK, LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
I'm attorney Tom Grieve, here to tell you about Grieve Civil Law. There's a lot of things in life we put off for far too long. Going to the doctor or the gym or the dentist. We know we should do it, but there's always something else more urgent. Estate planning cannot be put off. Life is unexpected. Have you thought about what your family would go through if you died without a will? Probate is stressful, time-consuming and costly. It can cause family disputes and resentment. Is that what you want your legacy to be? Don't procrastinate when it comes to your family's future. Protect them from chaos and confusion. Don't let your legacy be the mess you left them with. You probably hear a lot of ads that say, time is running out, don't wait. It's a marketing gimmick. We all know there will be another sale soon. When it comes to estate planning, time is literally running out. Plan today and have peace of mind tomorrow. Don't gamble with your life's work. Don't gamble with your family's future. GrieveCivilLaw.com, because time is running out.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm, Screen and Door.
Military Matters.
It costs the U.S. millions of dollars to intercept Iran's small, fast-moving drones. But a robotics defense company in Texas says it has a cheaper way, and it costs just $10 to take one drone down. Allen Control Systems in Austin developed what they call Bullfrog. It's an AI-powered drone killer. It tracks down targets in the sky and then takes them out with a machine gun. Bullfrog can be mounted on autonomous trucks or vessels and can take down entire swarms of small drones at once. Bullfrog is being deployed by the Army and Navy. The CEO of Allen Control Systems says it's not only fast and effective, it's also a whole lot cheaper.
The cheapest missiles that we have for engaging drones tend to be in the $100,000 range. So that compared to you're basically one missile per drone, so $100,000 per kill, we're talking about, less than $10 per kill.
With Military Matters, Brooke Taylor, Fox News.
The iHeartRadio app now has preset buttons, just like your car radio. Now make sure one of those preset buttons is set to News Talk 1130 WISN. Excellence is just one click away on the preset buttons of the iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Did not intend to do a full hour on the wildfires and the smoke that has engulfed Wisconsin, but it is the thing that everybody is talking about, and it is the thing that is quite literally top of mind, I guess, above our mind, above our heads. It's everywhere, but it is hopefully going to dissipate by this week. I've got a graduation party. We're having a ton of people over to our house this weekend. I don't want to cram them all inside. I would much rather have them outside in the backyard. What's that, Armin? Well, they just, what are you talking about? What about the Brewers? That's why we have a roof on the stadium. Oh, yeah. What if it's already trapped in the stadium? I don't know. I think they get fans and blow it out. I don't know. Should we ask the Brewers? What do you do if the smoke is already trapped in the stadium? My guess is that they'll be able to get it out. This is a perfect example of why it was so important to have a stadium with a retractable roof. It's literally not safe right now. The air quality is so. This, by the way, we had a number of people texting in. Finally, 6 years later, there's a good reason to wear a KN95 mask outside. Not because it's going to stop COVID-19, but this actually will help you breathe better. Even with a mask, you probably should limit your exposure to the outdoors right now just because the air quality is so bad. I have been working and going back and forth with a source to try to get a big story about the Sarah Rodriguez campaign together. I believe we are going to break this at 5 o'clock, something that no one else has looked into, and it does cast all of the issues that her campaign and specifically her campaign manager have been having in an entirely new light. Some of the reporting on that campaign manager has just scratched the surface. There is a long-standing pattern that I have been able to uncover of serious financial problems, including, yes, criminal activity. We are hopefully going to be able to get that story on the air and up on Heartland Post at 5 o'clock. We are going to be diving into the implosion of the Rodriguez campaign finance reports that were due last night that actually do tell a significant story about just what's going on, I think, not just here in Wisconsin, but across the country. There is a resurgence of Republican enthusiasm and Republican interest that you typically don't see from the party that controls the White House in a midterm election like this. In fact, there is a great op-ed by one of our best writers over at the Heartland Post, Justin Phillips, who says that the rise of socialism is actually this year's Dobbs v. Jackson, the decision that overturned Roe v. Wade. That changed everything in the 2022 midterms. Republicans were the party out of power. They had lost just a devastating presidential election 2 years earlier. It was assumed there was going to be a massive red wave. There wasn't. Why? Well, because there was a black swan event, something that was sort of unexpected, that changed the entire dynamic. That was the overturning of Roe. That was the abortion decision that made a whole lot of people vote Democrat because Democrats were able to weaponize that issue against Republicans. Well, now you've got Republicans saying, hey, we might actually face an existential crisis in this country with people who fundamentally despise this country to the point where they literally want to. This is in the Democrat Socialists of America party platform. They literally want to rewrite the Constitution of the United States. They want to overturn the Constitution and replace it with a new people's constitution, a workers' constitution that does away with the Senate, that strips the Supreme Court of its ability to actually review acts of government. In other words, to be able to overturn any of the grossly unconstitutional crap that the socialists want to do. And it would essentially, as soon as they come into power, as soon as they have any sort of governing majority, what they would do is to make it so that they would never lose. There's nothing democratic about these people. They are tyrants in waiting. And Trump, when he closed out the NATO summit in Turkey last week by saying, look, I've got to talk for a little bit about this rise of socialism, that the greatest threat that we face as a country, greater than World War II, greater than any external threat, it is this. He was right. We're going to dive into that in the 5 o'clock hour. I am hoping to get a couple of final T's crossed, I's dotted. Yes, during commercial breaks, I am literally researching and trying to get on the air and online stories that you will hear. This is how the sausage is made, ladies and gentlemen. We are constantly working our sources. We are constantly researching, all to give you the very best in conservative thought and not just talk. We also want to give you $1,000 Sizzling Summer Cash Contest. Word this hour is preset, as in the Dan O'Donnell Show can be your number one preset on the iHeartRadio app. That's right. Just like your radio, iHeart now has presets, Preset. Go to our website, enter the keyword preset, and you'll be entered for a chance to win $1,000. You've got until 4:55, and it is time now for our daily Trump Date. A reminder that because of copyright issues and a change in the way that music is played on the radio as well as on podcasts, we are not able to do theme music, at least for the time being. So just imagine that you're hearing YMCA and President Trump talking about winning. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt opened up her daily press briefing today by talking about yesterday's CPI report, the PPI report as well, Producer Price Index, and how all inflation readings are actually showing that President Trump's economic policies are working.
Tuesday's CPI report confirmed what President Trump predicted. Prices are falling, and this administration's economic policies are working. Inflation dropped 0.4% last month, beating expectations and marking the largest monthly decline in more than 6 years. Prices fell, including for gasoline, electricity, non-prescription drugs, car insurance, medical care services, and hotels, delivering relief for American working families.
Levitt also said President Trump is headed to New York this weekend. He is going to attend a FIFA event and then the World Cup final at MetLife Stadium on Sunday afternoon.
On Friday, the president will travel to New York City to attend a FIFA reception at Trump Tower, followed by his attendance on Sunday at the FIFA World Cup between Spain and Argentina. His attendance will cap what has been the most watched, most secure, and most successful World Cup in American history. This is a fitting conclusion to a tournament that showcased America's ability to host the world on the grandest stage.
It certainly has. I think she meant to say the best World Cup in the history of the world. I think we've only hosted the World Cup twice, once in 1994. And again, well, FIFA is already talking about, because this World Cup has been such a just overwhelming success. I actually went to a match. I took my kids to the USA-Turkey match, or excuse me, USA-Turkey match in Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago, the final group stage match for the U.S. It was so well run. It was safe. It was orderly. The LA was cleaner than I have ever seen it. It was fun. It's been so successful that FIFA is already talking about having the United States host again in 2038, just 12 years from now, primarily because they're going to expand the field to 64 teams. And we're pretty much the only country that has enough stadiums and enough infrastructure already in place, hotels, airports, and such, to be able to handle that many different fan bases coming from that many different countries, that many different matches. And also, everybody from around the world who has come to the U.S. to a person has said how much they just love this country, how friendly everyone has been, how much their own medias back at home have lied to them about everything involving America. So, yeah, just quickly as an aside, before we dive into tonight's press conference, or I guess address to the nation, did you see the picture of Lionel Messi and Spanish star Lamine Yamal? You might not recognize Yamal. Yamal just turned, I believe, 19 years old on Monday. 19. He's Spain's best player. He's a superstar. Well, when he was a little baby, he was photographed being bathed by Lionel Messi. It is super weird, yet he's a little baby. He's a little pudgy baby. And Messi, who at the time, this was in 2007, so Messi would have been about 25 years old. He was playing with Barcelona, where he had most of his best years, most of his prime years, although Lionel Messi is still in his prime, leading Argentina to a second straight World Cup final. And there are professionally taken photographs of Messi bathing a baby Lamine Yamal. It was apparently for a calendar that Barcelona was making for its fans, right? With all of the players, and you entered a raffle if you were a Barcelona season ticket holder or super fan or whatever, to have your baby pose with Messi, who is, of course, the team's superstar. Yamal's father won, and even Barcelona had no idea that this photograph existed, that it was Yamal, until Yamal made his debut at the European Championships 2 years ago, and his father posted the picture on then Twitter and said it was preordained greatness or something like that. Like, this is FC Barcelona had to look back and say, wait, what? There's a picture of Yamal being bathed by, and folks, there's nothing perverted about it. It's just European. There is a certain level of weirdness that the Euros have that we just have to sort of expect from. There's going to be a soccer calendar of the players bathing babies. It's not perverted. It's Euro. I don't know. I can't explain it. I'm not going to try to. Barcelona said, yeah, our records show that Yamal's father actually did enter this raffle. He did win. That is Lamine Yamal, the Spanish teenage superstar, being bathed by Messi. Now they're playing in the World Cup final. I said that's still one of the most amazing coincidences I think I've ever seen in sports or otherwise. So President Trump is going to present evidence tonight, Levitt said, of efforts to influence American elections and election malfeasance by countries other than Russia in 2016. And including potentially Chinese efforts to meddle on behalf of Joe Biden in 2020.
I would encourage everyone to tune in tonight. I've seen a lot of reporting and frankly misreporting about what the president will say. I think the American people will be relieved to hear what they are hearing from the president of the United States and his commitment to transparency and the focus on the integrity of our elections tonight. I think all Republicans and Democrats should recognize this should be a nonpartisan issue. If we don't have safe and secure elections in our country, we cannot have a country. It is a vital part of our democracy, of our constitutional republic. The president will be speaking about that tonight.
And the president has teased really, really big news that he says is essential for free and fair elections, that this problem be overcome. He said in a post on Truth Social, according to multiple reports, including one that I trust by a very, very good investigative reporter by the name of Paul Sperry. He is a conservative journalist and he's been around forever. There are apparently declassified intelligence documents that pertain to investigations into the 2020 election that show that there were foreign actors' plans or capabilities, something. It's believed to have been the Chinese or possibly the Iranians to try to interfere on behalf of Joe Biden. Now, the White House has, for the past several months, had a task force put together that was actively declassifying as many documents as possible and to try to get a narrative put together about what might have happened. Now, there is less of a likelihood, and I've seen this report, and I think this is what Levitt was talking about, some unverified reporting that there were flaws with the Dominion voting machines or something like that. I take less stock in that, primarily because it's coming from news sources like CNN. I'm thinking that if Trump is saying this is really, really big news, people are saying, well, so what, Dan? Trump has been saying the 2020 election has been stolen since 2020. Why do a primetime address tonight if he's just going to be rehashing the same stuff? Clearly, there is some actionable intelligence. There is something that rises to the level of, oh, crap, we really do have a significant problem with our elections. And Levitt urged the members of the press to actually not even keep an open mind, because we know that's impossible, but to at least report accurately about what is going on and accept that there are, in fact, vulnerabilities, and there have been documented evidence of fraud, perhaps not outcome determinative fraud, but fraud that has marred a whole lot of American elections. The media's narrative is actually rather remarkable. America in 2016 did not have safe elections. The Russians interfered to install their own Manchurian candidate, Donald Trump, because they had compromat on him, specifically a tape of Russian prostitutes urinating on a bed that Obama slept in at a hotel in Moscow. Yes, the most famous germaphobe in the world, Donald Trump, the most famous germaphobe this side of Howie Mandel, is going to allow Russian hookers to pee on a bed in front of him with the possibility that some pee droplets get on him. This was the nonsense that was the Trump dossier. And the media said, oh, well, this is not a legitimate election. Hillary did not lose fair and square. Then suddenly, in 2020, elections cannot be stolen. They cannot be rigged. We have the safest, most secure elections in American history. Libs, seriously, how do you like lurch from one truth to another based on what other people tell you? without ever once questioning, hey, wait a second. You know what this reminds me? This reminds me of 1984 by Orwell. We have always been at war with East Asia until the party said, no. We have always been at war with West Asia. Here's Levitt.
I think part of the problem is that the media has refused to acknowledge that tens of millions of Americans across the country share the concerns of this president about the sanctity of our elections. And your premise of your question, you're jumping ahead to a conclusion in this speech before even hearing it yourself. I think that everyone should tune in tonight, including the people in this room, and you should report on the president's speech and the findings that he is going to reveal in this speech with a little bit of honesty and a little bit of integrity, because it will shock you if you have an honest eye listening to the president tonight, and everything he is saying will be backed by facts and by evidence that will be provided this evening.
And you can watch the president's address. I know I will be 8 o'clock Central Time across all major networks. I believe every network is actually going to be covering this address. A lot of times they won't. I will be keeping tabs on which ones do, which ones do not. They're all in summer reruns now, so nobody is going to be preempting like a Thursday night NFL football game or anything like that. And you can listen to it on News Talk 1130 WISN. Right now, you're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show, and we will be back in just a second.
From the place you want to go, Lynch McGuanago Traffic Center.
Southbound on 4145, stopping and going from Appleton down to Capitol. On to 894 southbound, your delays are from Oklahoma to the Hale interchange and then eastbound to 76th. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Grandview Homes. Between traffic and everything else on your schedule, surprises are the last thing you need. Thinking about selling your house? Grandview Homes buys houses for cash and makes it simple. Get an upfront, honest offer in hours. And the amount they offer is what you get. Visit grandviewhomes.com.
Hi, it's Jay Weber. Let's talk about the roof on your home. A lot of you will need to replace your roof this summer, but be forewarned, there are roofing companies out there that skip over the most important part of the process, the attic ventilation. You see, if your attic doesn't have proper air circulation, it can cause problems such as mold and wood rot, leaks in the winter, not to mention higher AC bills in the summer. This is one of the reasons I recommend Semperfi Roofing to my listeners. Their process begins with a free 21-point roof inspection that includes a thorough inspection of your attic. They know that if the ventilation isn't right, the roof will be built on a shaky foundation. Every Semperfi roof comes with a well-thought-out attic ventilation plan, and that's why they can offer a 50-year leak-free guarantee on every roof they install. And right now, money-saving discounts and financing incentives are available. Call for your free 21-point roof inspection and estimate today, 262-600-2910, or book an appointment at semperfiroofing.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Business owners, now is the time to sell your business and take advantage of this red-hot seller's market. For more information, visit LakeCountryAdvisors.com and schedule your free exit strategy consultation. Local, experienced, and trusted, we are Lake Country Advisors.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app, powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
40 years ago, being informed was about reading the newspaper and watching the nightly news. Now, with information coming at you at the speed of light, being truly informed is a complex proposition, a more comprehensive process. At WISN, our show hosts frame stories, issues, and topics with both facts and unique analysis, and that leaves you with a richer understanding of the world around you. It's the perfect blend of information and insight. Stay informed all day, every day on WISN. The talk shows on WISN Radio, not for the faint of heart and not for the feeble of mind. News Talk 1130 WISN. Fact is, until you've heard us, you haven't heard the whole story.
President Trump addresses the nation tonight, 8 o'clock p.m. Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. The biggest story in politics is, of course, the implosion of Sarah Rodriguez. Wisconsin's lieutenant governor was, right up until about 9:29 p.m. on Sunday night, the best hope, the last hope for stopping the spread of socialism here in Wisconsin and stopping Francesca Hong from running away with this nomination. Now, a lot of people have asked me, Dan, why are you saying Francesca Hong is going to run away with this nomination? Because she is expected to put up what one of my writers at Heartland Post said in our morning editorial meeting today, dictator-like numbers in the city of Madison. Because Dane County, Madison especially, turns out so many votes election after election after election, doesn't matter if it's a Supreme Court election, gubernatorial election, or a primary in the middle of August, it is going to be very tough to make up the margin of votes that she's going to get in Madison anywhere else, just by sheer number and the percentage that she's going to get. You would have to have the city of Milwaukee all vote for essentially one candidate. And that's what Democrats tried to set up with Sarah Rodriguez. They wanted her to be the candidate that all of the non-socialists would flock to. She flamed out. 9:30 p.m., she puts out a press release saying, we fired our campaign manager because of massive discrepancies in our campaign finance reports and how much money we were actually taking in. She did a disastrous press conference on Monday afternoon that I think was even worse than the original announcement. She was asked, okay, how much cash do you actually have on hand? She said, well, $200,000. Then campaign finance reports were due yesterday. She reported a minute before the deadline. I actually watched her report get entered into the CFIS, the Campaign Finance Information System, as it came in at about 11:57, 11:58. The reports were due at 11:59 p.m. Yes, I am just that dorky that I stayed up to watch all of the reports come in because I wanted to see, all right, who's got the cash on hand? Can anybody actually stop Francesca Hong? Mandela Barnes has been burning through money. His report was very bad. In fact, if Sarah's wasn't one of the worst nightmares any candidate has ever had, we would be talking about just how disappointing Mandela Barnes was for someone who's supposed to be a favorite in this race. But the report came in and showed that Rodriguez had only $34,000 in cash on hand. Not only that, she has liabilities of $150,000. Now, she had to put out a statement today saying, look, some of the information in this report is not correct. There was one line item where it said she was giving to the Republican women of, I think it was Waukesha County. That, folks, I'm actually going to give her a bit of a pass on. It was an incorrect code that was entered, and you don't enter, I guess, the way these things are done, as it was explained to me. So the Republican women have they've issued an ethics complaint. The campaign has already said, look, the code was entered wrong. That we've done a whole lot of bad stuff with finance reporting. This was an honest mistake. And this is one of those things where you issue an addendum to the report and you say, hey, we entered the wrong code. It was actually supposed to go to like the Milwaukee Democrats or something like that. And we were just a number off and it got entered wrong. But the damage has already been done. Rodriguez not only is done in this race, she is almost certainly done as a candidate in future races. She revealed herself to be so horrifically incompetent in not being able to catch what I still believe was very likely intentional manipulation of campaign finance data, misrepresentation of data by her campaign manager, that she's probably never going to be able to run again. She's just not going to have a future in Democrat politics here in this state. She's done. As soon as her term is up in early January, you are probably never going to hear from Sarah Rodriguez again. she's got to know. She has to have been told, hey, the path is closed to you for this election. But she's still in the race. Why? The answer is actually more simple than it seems. Not only is she in the race, she is highlighting the fact that the Republican Governors Association, the national group that looks to elect Republican governors, has come in with a $2 million buy. And I love that. I absolutely love this because it's exactly what Democrats were doing 4 years ago to try to get the most extreme right-wing unelectable candidate on the ballot for Republicans. They're running ads that make it seem like they're aimed at Republicans, right? Like Francesca Hong is far too liberal for Wisconsin. But then they highlight her liberal ideas, and it's health care for all and universal child care, whatever else. And they're only airing these ads on MS Now and CNN in like the Madison market. These are actually ads that boost Francesca Hong. Democrats did the exact same thing with the Libertarian in the Senate race 2 years ago during the presidential year. The Libertarian who was running against Eric Hovde actually had ads that were paid for by Tammy Baldwin's allies. That was it Phil something or other, Phil Robertson. He's too conservative for Wisconsin. It was actually aimed at pulling votes away from Eric Hovde. It worked. And Rodriguez shot a video in her car last night saying, we got to stop this. The Republican governor, they're trying to boost Francesca Hong because they're scared of going against me.
Out of state, MAGA donors, the same people who want to gut your health care and take away your rights, are spending millions of dollars trying to decide who Democrats nominate for governor. Why? Because they're scared of me. They've done the math.
Wait. She really said they've done the math. Well, Sarah, I'm glad someone has actually done the math because you sure as hell haven't. Here's the rest of the video.
You know, I'm the strongest candidate to beat them in November. So they're trying to do something about it right now before it's too late. I'm not going to let that happen, and neither should you. This primary belongs to Wisconsin voters. It belongs to Democrats who've been knocking doors and making calls and fighting for this state. It does not belong to MAGA operatives in Washington writing big checks to manipulate our election. Don't let them pick our candidate. That's our job. Go to sarah4wi.com to donate and help us fight back.
Why is she asking for donations? Why is she still trying to... At this point, Tom Tiffany would love to face Sarah Rodriguez. If there was any chance of her emerging from the primary, she's probably the weakest candidate because of how much Democrats don't like her and because all you have to do is say, look, the woman is so incompetent that she can't even run a campaign. How can she possibly run the state? Sarah Rodriguez right now is by far the weakest candidate. Why is she still in the race? Why is she still soliciting donations? Don't focus on how little her campaign has raised. Focus on how much it still owes. She's still in this race, ladies and gentlemen, because she needs to pay back the campaign debt that she has incurred. The reason she hasn't dropped out yet, and I still believe that she's likely to drop out tomorrow afternoon, is because she needs to pay back the money that she owes because, frankly, I think they were spending money that none of them knew they didn't have. Now, the Republican governors are in this race to try to boost Francesca Hong. And I have been asked multiple times to lead a Rush Limbaugh-style Operation Chaos, in which all of us Republicans intentionally vote for the weakest candidate, and that would be Francesca Hong in the August primary. When we come back here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, I am going to tell you why that is a phenomenally bad idea and why that wasn't actually what Rush had in mind with Operation Chaos to begin with. Stay tuned.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Hefty delays eastbound on 94 between 68th and 35th, westbound between 27th and Hawley, southbound on 4145 solid in pockets, Good Hope to Hampton, and on 43 southbound Burleigh to the Marquette. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Infinity Exteriors. Infinity Exteriors has that new look you're looking for. Siding, windows, roofing, and more. All the latest styles come with a lifetime workmanship warranty. Join over 60,000 happy homeowners and get started at infinityexteriors.com.
The hot weather is here, and that means it's time to play the nationwide sizzling summer cash contest on WISN. 9 times each weekday. Listen for the contest keyword and enter it at newstalk1130.com. If your luck is hot and your entry is selected, you'll win a cool grand, $1,000.
The Sizzling Summer Cash Contest is presented by Joda Solutions, custom software for your business built for the way you work. JODASolutions.com.
Just doing some roofing on another lovely Wisconsin day.
Wisconsin in summer. No better place on earth. There's a neighborliness here you just can't fake. The kind where you bring a casserole when a neighbor's going through a hard time. That's what we're trying to protect. Our grandparents built this state on relationships, not fine print. Well, somewhere along the way, though, somebody decided to make business hard, racing to be the biggest, and folks are getting left behind. We need to get back to doing things the old-fashioned way, and my friends over at Old Fashioned Roofing are doing just that. Veteran-owned, real veterans, not trying to be the biggest roofing company in southeastern Wisconsin, just the right one for you. So give them a jingle, 262-229-8909, or visit them at oldfashionedroofing.com.
So raise a glass, shake a hand for this old-fashioned brand. Whoop, that's old-fashioned roofing. Whoop.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
This is the Sheriff's Office. We have a report of missing employees at Hassleus Mattress.
Yes, Hassleus Mattress showrooms are employee-free.
You're confessing?
That's how we keep our prices way low. And through Monday, trade in your old mattress and take $248 off a queen and $348 off a king.
Sounds suspicious.
Free next day delivery, too.
Dispatch, I need a police escort for a Hassleus Mattress delivery truck to my house.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at hassleus.com.
Want to see my drawers?
He means the drawers of the Briley bedroom from Penny Mustard.
Not all drawers are created equal,
but the Briley bedroom's drawers are equally awesome.
With full extension drawer glides and sturdy bottoms that are 3/8 of an inch thick.
And that's good because nothing's worse than when your bottom falls out.
He means your drawer bottom.
But the Briley bedroom is more than just drawers.
I love the flared feet and how the shape of the headboard matches the mirror.
Along with hundreds of fabric options for the headboard and a variety of hardware.
And drawer bottom strong enough to stand on.
You know, if we dedicate this much time to the drawers, just imagine how well constructed the rest of the Briley bedroom must be.
What are you waiting for? Come see my drawers.
The Briley bedroom, American made with a queen bed, dresser, mirror, and nightstand, starting at $99.33 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of the drawers people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Dan Voss at Cut and Go. We're celebrating America's 250th birthday with Hister trees. In World War I, artists drew, measured, then created exact replicas of severely damaged trees on active battlefields, then recreated them out of iron. Under cover of total darkness, Americans cut the original tree down and installed the replica with no one the wiser. The iron camouflage trees hid American patriots in plain sight.
Sonny Voss here.
That's the American ingenuity my dad imported, inventing the remote control, truck-mounted, articulated grapple saw, cut and goes operators use to safely put your dead trees on the ground or remove branches that grew over something important.
Cut and Go will trim large branches or remove your dead trees. Grind and Go removes eyesore, trip hazard stumps. And Plant and Go implements maximum beauty and benefit new, potentially historic tree planting plans.
Happy 250th anniversary. Tons of Trees movement. CUTNGOtrees.com.
iHeartRadio FIFA World Cup update.
Stage is set for a heavyweight battle in the World Cup final as Spain takes on Argentina Sunday for a chance at glory.
Spain, for the second time in their history, will play in the FIFA World Cup final.
Spain has set the record for the most shutouts in a single World Cup with 6, while Argentina is trying to become the first repeat champion in over 60 years.
Download the iHeartRadio app for live Fox coverage of every game. Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
I just came to say hello.
The next generation is here.
Hello.
You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Folks, I really hate to be, I swear I am not that guy who is like a 13-year-old girl who says, I have a secret, but I'm not going to tell you. I've got some great gossip. I am working on a story. I promise you it is a big one about the Sarah Rodriguez campaign. I'm just working on verification of one thing. I don't believe I'm going to be able to get it on the radio today. I'm going to try. I'm going to try my best. I'm waiting on something, but if not, it is going to be up on the Heartland Post at some point this evening. Previous reports about Rodriguez's campaign manager, a woman by the name of Kara Spencer, just scratched the surface of some of the personal financial problems that she has had. We went a lot deeper and we found a whole lot of issues. So I'm going to try my best to get that story up. No promises I'm going to be able to break it on the air. If not, of course, we're going to do it on the air tomorrow. As always, be sure to check out heartlandpost.com. Definitely we're going to want to save it in your bookmarks. You actually would probably be well served by, if you're a big Wisconsin politics and news fan, you might want to set it as your homepage, because we have got a whole lot of news, whole lot of opinion, analysis, all of it from the very best people in this state. I serve as editor-in-chief, and we will have it up as soon as I'm just able to verify a couple of more details. Then, of course, I've got to email the campaign seeking comment. It's just what you've got to do, folks. It's responsible for everybody who says that I just go off half-cocked and say stuff that I make up. You would not believe the process that goes into some of the stories that we break here on the Dan O'Donnell Show and at the Heartland Post. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, Dan, why don't we do what Rush Limbaugh did back in 2008 and cross party lines and vote in the Democrat primary? Our primary is already determined. Tom Tiffany is our nominee. Eric Toney is going to be our nominee for Attorney General. There is a contested lieutenant governor primary, but I do believe that one candidate, Will Martin, is probably going to win rather comfortably, just based on the straw poll or based on the endorsement, rather, at the Republican convention. Democrats do a straw poll. Republicans actually do an endorsement vote by the delegates to the convention. That's really the only contested primary statewide. There are a lot of contested primaries in state Senate, state rep races that you obviously need to vote in. But the biggest reason that you shouldn't cross party lines and vote for Francesca Hong on the theory that she would be the easiest candidate for Tiffany to beat is that you never, ever, ever, like Dr. Victor Frankenstein, want to create the monster that is going to ultimately destroy everything you care about and ultimately destroy you. Democrats did that. They were clearly pumping up Donald Trump throughout 2015. They thought by far, in fact, Hillary Clinton, per a leaked campaign memo, they called it the Pied Piper strategy, said, we're going to promote the least electable candidates like, I believe it was Ben Carson and Donald Trump were the ones that, and we want all of the other candidates to follow them into the insane positions that they're going to take, just like the Pied Piper. Hillary said the candidate that she actually feared was Marco Rubio. We don't want to face Rubio. We want to face Trump because he's a dunce. He's a buffoon. Guess what? He beat them. Even though there was a 99% chance that Hillary Clinton was going to win on Election Day 2016, Trump won. They helped create that monster. He devoured them. Now, Francesca Hong is no Donald Trump, but Operation Chaos to elect Francesca Hong is a big mistake. First of all, it misrepresents what Rush Limbaugh's Operation Chaos actually was. Back in 2008, it was obvious that Barack Obama was going to be the Democrats' nominee. Rush didn't want to stop him and to get Hillary nominated. He knew that was not going to happen. Operation Chaos was literally to inject chaos into the primary so that Obama was going to be forced to spend a lot more money, exert a lot more effort, and deploy a lot more resources into getting out of the primary instead of just skating to the nominating convention. It was not an effort to get Hillary Clinton nominated. There was no chance of that happening. Obama was going to, when Operation Chaos was launched, trust me, folks, I was like Rush Limbaugh super fan number one. I listened to his show every single day, even though I was working for the chief competitor to WISN at the time. I was secretly listening to Rush Limbaugh on WISN pretty much every day. I remember Operation Chaos very carefully, very closely, and I studied it carefully to see what the strategy was. It wasn't to actually pick the candidate. It was to make sure that the candidate who did win had as tough a time as humanly possible. That was Operation Chaos. Operation Chaos wasn't picking a candidate. Picking a candidate is, there's a reason the old saying is, be careful what you wish for, not what you wish for is always the very best thing that could ever possibly happen to you. Clearly, I think Tiffany and Republicans want to run against a socialist. They want to run against socialism itself. In fact, as we're going to see in the 5 o'clock hour, this is the thing that it's injecting new life into the Republican Party ahead of this midterm. In fact, I think this is the thing that is very likely going to be the mitigating effect of what would otherwise be a big Democrat year. Democrats, just like Republicans in 2022, aren't going to win the massive margins that people think they are. In 2022, it was because abortion was overturned. Roe v. Wade was overturned. This year, it's because all of a sudden, the Democratic Party really is being taken over by a socialist insurgency. We will dive a little bit more deeply into that when we return right here on The Dan O'Donnell Show.
From the Lynch Truck Center in Waterford Total Traffic Center.
43 southbound has delays from Good Hope down to Bender, again from Locust to the Marquette, and on to 4394 down to around Lapham. Solid delays eastbound 94 from 68th to 35th and westbound 27 to Holly. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Bank of America. Bank of America, sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 2026, dedicated to offering solutions to help businesses meet their goals locally and globally. More at bankofamerica.com/gamechangers. That's bankofamerica.com/gamechangers.
Our first new single-family condos are now available.
Downman Homes.
David Brownsdorf here, disclosing Flawless Flooring's secret weapon to businesses other than flooring company owners.
Whoa, sounds scary.
Scary good. Our iNet website, SEO, and radio marketing completely transformed Flawless with incredible results, delivering opportunity, spurring business growth.
Thought you were going to say, after months of alchemy, you've created a carpet stink and stain removal magic elixir.
That would be a carpet knife and dumpster.
Flawless Flooring added carpeting to both showrooms, becoming a true one-stop flooring shop since coming to iNet.
And we have the best flooring website in Wisconsin.
Likely the best anywhere. More important, how are sales?
Since partnering with iNet, sales doubled. iNet's laser-focused SEO drives insane traffic to our site and customers to the showrooms. Hiring iNet is casting a net, catching all the right customers.
Clever, Dave. Sensory Underload. Flawless Flooring. FlawlessFlooringLLC.com.
Not as clever as your creative genius branding and radio ad writing. iNet-web.com. CreativeGeniusMarketing.com.
iNet will improve your business's economy.
When your computer or laptop isn't working properly, sometimes a simple reboot does the trick. The equivalent to your body losing weight would be to reset your metabolism. That's just one of the secrets to the success I found working with Milwaukee Weight Loss. I'm Dave Michaels. Milwaukee Weight Loss's team in Brookfield customized a plan to my specific needs. And the results speak for itself. I've lost around 15 pounds. But more importantly to me, I've noticed that my mobility has improved. I'm sleeping better, and if I'm being honest, even less moody. Plus, I've still been eating real food and using safe products that have helped reset my metabolism. Milwaukee Weight Loss's team at Brookfield is helping my body burn fat, not muscle, like GLP-1s do. And for a limited time, Milwaukee Weight Loss is offering $200 off with their summer special. So if you're serious, not only about losing weight, but keeping it off, visit MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com and schedule your free consultation today. Or call 262-433-4007. 262-433-4007. Results may vary.
I'm attorney Tom Grieve, here to tell you about Grieve Civil Law. Life is unpredictable, but you can help your loved ones navigate dark days by preparing for the future now. Powers of attorney, wills, and trusts are all components to a robust estate plan that ensures your wishes are fulfilled. Do you think your estate is simple or should be executed using common sense? In many cases, the law cannot take into account how complicated families are. If you or your heirs are divorced, or if your heirs get divorced in the future, your assets may not go where you intend. Many people say that they will get a will, but they never get around to it. Their loved ones often pay for their lack of planning in the time and stress of probate, not to mention court fees. On top of their grief, they'll wrestle with red tape and resentment. Don't gamble your life's work. Don't gamble with your family's future. Protect your loved ones from legal battles. It's more than just a document, it's peace of mind. Contact Grieve Civil Law today, because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. GrieveCivilLaw.com.
Are you ready to transform your home into the home you've always wanted? Hi, Colleen with Tri-County Contracting. We have a mission. Our mission is to help you love your home again. One of the best ways to do that is new siding. Whether you want vinyl or LP SmartSide or Hardy plank siding, new siding can give you the look you want. With lots of options to choose from, we will be your guide as you pick out the perfect siding for your home. Horizontal lap siding, shake, board and batten, cedar accents, there's so much you can do to make your home truly amazing. With our home rendering tool, showrooms, and design consultant, no exterior contractor is going to help you like Tri-County Contracting. Go to TriCountyContractingWI.com and see all the tools you can use to upgrade your home, like our exclusive color selector page. Just click the colors you want and we can make it a reality. Free estimates, free design consultations, open showrooms with friendly staff, and a website built to help you create the home you have always wanted. TriCountyContractingWI.com. Siding that will make you love your home again. Tri-County Contracting.
Marketing a modern business means finding and serving your customers 24/7 wherever they are. WISN broadcasts are a powerful platform, but there's so much more. WISN's online digital tools are completely customizable, so you can reach your ideal customer through the iHeart app or by using software that actually finds your customers at a specific location or event. These tools are precise, efficient, measurable marketing weapons that you need to use. Combine the power and cloud of WISN's broadcast and digital platforms right now. Go to newstalk1130.com, keyword digital.
All right, things are getting real weird over in Sarah Rodriguez land. Jesse Opoyan over at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel is reporting on X now that Sarah has filed an amended campaign finance report showing that she actually has a balance, that she has got cash on hand in the amount of $640,000. After reporting last night at the deadline that she had $34,000 in cash on hand, and after Sarah herself said on Monday that the campaign had $200,000 in cash on hand. Literally none of this, ladies and gentlemen, is making any sense. And no, you should probably not be trusting anything the Rodriguez campaign is saying. We will dive into that when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns in just a second.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the NX Wealth Management Studios. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN. Milwaukee, an iHeartRadio station. Guaranteed human.
Good afternoon. I'm Dave Michaels, and President Trump's address to the nation tonight, he is expected to focus on securing national elections, as well as potential threats to the vote.
It doesn't get bigger, because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement.
Meanwhile, just hours after ICE ordered a pause to most traffic stops, President Trump reversed it.
Posting on Truth Social, quote, "We cannot give up on one of ICE's most important and effective crime-fighting tools, the traffic stop," telling ICE to be judicious, fair, and smart and go back and do your very important job. The reversal follows 2 deadly ICE-involved shootings in less than a week, both during traffic stops.
Fox News' Chanley Painter and the Marquette lacrosse player charged in a fatal crash was in court today for the first time.
Peter McColgan is charged with homicide by negligent operation of a vehicle. Prosecutors say he was speeding and trying to beat a yellow light before crashing into another vehicle last September. And 2 of his teammates in that car, Scott Michaud and Noah Snyder, were killed in the crash. The driver of that other car was also charged, but was later acquitted recently, actually, by a jury.
That's Fox 6's Carl Deffenbaugh. Checking the holiday automotive of Fond du Lac Sports Scoreboard. The Brewers are back home after the All-Star break tomorrow night against the Marlins at American Family Field. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Dave Michaels on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
This hour of the Dan O'Donnell Show is presented by Warshawski Law.
Here's why. Money. Injured? It is about the money. Warshawski Law.
Here's the latest forecast, powered by WillysWorldCustoms.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Wildfire smoke will continue through at least noon on Friday, getting better Friday afternoon. A few rain showers overnight and isolated thunderstorms on Friday, a high of 93 with a heat index of 99. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Tom Walks.
This report is sponsored by Terminix Batsner. Mosquitoes aren't just a nuisance, they can transmit dangerous diseases too. That's why Batsner Pest Control is proud to offer mosquito extermination services to keep your family and property safe year-round. For your free no-obligation quote, give them a call or visit Batsner.com today.
Based in Lake Country, I'm Endurance Exteriors, Ryan Ketchum. Endurance Exteriors is the company you'd create to do your roof, siding, windows, or gutters if you could. Virtually every roofer hastily prepares and rushes through the project. Endurance remodels your home the way you would, with meticulous quality control and attention to detail. Our smaller crews may take 3 days to re-roof or re-side your home because an expertly managed, chaos-free job site provides superior results over too many workers pushing to be done in one day. With Endurance Exteriors, every expert on your property is superiorly trained to install to better than warranty specifications, lifetime manufacturer warranty, GAF roofs or siding and windows. Our employee professionals treat your property, family, and neighbors with unwavering respect. Endurance Exteriors charges on average 20% less than the slap it up and go roofer for just as you would if you could installation, care, quality material, and workmanship warranted for life. GAF roofs or siding and windows. Exterior remodeling the way you would if you could. EnduranceExteriors.com. That's EnduranceExteriors.com. EnduranceExteriors.com.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Your home cleaning friend, it's Edelman again. Edelman.
Kowal Investment Group, now Creative Planning, is a registered investment advisor. Now for your business report from Creative Planning. For informational purposes only, past performance is not indicative of future results.
Good afternoon. I'm certified financial planner John White with your closing business report. The major averages were lower today as a sell-off in chip stocks overshadowed solid earnings reports. That said, earnings season is off to a strong start this week. Of the 40 of S&P 500 companies that have reported, more than 87% reported positive results. Shares of Manpower soared more than 32% after the employment agency called for third quarter revenue to rise from 2% to 6%. Manpower's adjusted earnings per share and revenue also came in above Wall Street's estimates. On the day, the Dow was down 105 points to close at 52,553. The S&P 500 is down 38 points, and the NASDAQ is down 387 points. From Creative Planning, I'm John White.
Our favorite four-letter word. Free! Free. Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
Here we go. 5 o'clock hour underway. And we are going to be breaking a major exclusive story in just a second about the civil and, yes, criminal background of the now former campaign manager of Wisconsin's Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez. Earlier reports about Kara Spencer's financial problems here in Wisconsin only scratched the surface because Kara Spencer has only been in Wisconsin for a relatively short period of time. She went to college at Michigan State University and spent, as far as I can tell, about 15 to 20 years in Michigan. Well, we looked into her civil and, yes, criminal background in Michigan, and what we found was utterly shocking. It's a Dan O'Donnell Show exclusive coming up in just a second. First, the nationwide keyword this hour in the Sizzlin' Summer Cash Contest is fun. F-U-N, fun. You've got until 5:55 to go to our website and enter the keyword fun to enter the contest for this hour. All right. If you'd like to join the Dan O'Donnell Show, Carpetland USA Flooring Center talk and text line 414-799-1130. Email address dod@iheartmedia.com. Follow the show on social media at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, Facebook, Instagram. You can watch the show streaming live across social media and on YouTube. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show DanoCam, that we like to call. You can also listen to us in podcast form, Dan O'Donnell Show on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts. Kara Spencer served as the campaign manager, not just for Sarah Rodriguez's run for governor in 2026, but also the campaign manager for her run for lieutenant governor in 2022. This close relationship is why Rodriguez trusted Spencer completely to be the only one who was responsible for filing campaign finance reports. It was discovered, according to Rodriguez, last week that Spencer had, in fact, been incorrectly entering double donations, and that the January finance report that was presented to the state of Wisconsin as a public record, and just as importantly, presented to potential donors and supporters as a show of strength, was totally wrong. The Rodriguez campaign spent months telling donors, telling supporters that she was a strong candidate because Spencer had put together reports showing that they had raised so much money that Rodriguez was on the verge of making a $1.2 million television ad buy just last week. Well, that ad buy was never actually made. By Sunday night, the Rodriguez campaign said it had fired Spencer because of serious problems with that January campaign finance report. That instead of having $1.5 million in cash on hand, the Rodriguez campaign only actually had $200,000. Then, when last night's finance report was put into the CFIS, or Campaign Finance Information System database, it showed she only had $34,000 in cash on hand. Well, that's certainly something of a discrepancy. Yes, I know that the reporting period ended on June 30th, but really, the Rodriguez campaign got somewhere in the neighborhood of $200,000 just in the 15 days between the end of the reporting period and when Rodriguez went out in front of the state and said that her campaign had $200,000. Now, according to Jesse Opoyan, a reporter at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, who just tweeted about 15 minutes ago that the Rodriguez campaign has filed an amendment to that campaign finance report that was submitted last night. And it actually has a cash on hand balance of $640,000. What is going on here? How much money does the Rodriguez campaign actually have? All of the problems, the Rodriguez campaign has said, started and ended with Kara Spencer. Spencer was the only one who was preparing these finance reports. She was the only one who had the knowledge of how much money was going into the Rodriguez campaign and how much was being spent. In fact, the campaign's treasurer, who actually signed off on the finance reports, Rodriguez said was basically just a figurehead. The treasurer had nothing to do with the actual presentation of the reports. Now, this presents a legal problem, as that treasurer was signing documents saying that she had knowledge that these documents, to the best of her knowledge, were true and accurate when she had no such knowledge whatsoever. Subsequent reporting over the last couple of days focused on a couple of liens and judgments against Kara Spencer. These are, of course, in the last couple of years in Dane County. Well, for nearly 20 years, Kara Spencer was living in Michigan. I looked into Kara Spencer's record in Michigan and found what I believe to be a long history of civil judgments against her, garnishment and attempted garnishment of wages, and what I believe to be a criminal conviction back in 2003 for financial crimes. Kara Ann Spencer is 56 years old, and I am not going to give her date of birth for privacy purposes, but it is relevant to the reporting of the story. She was born in April of 1970. On November 24th, 2003, a Kara Ann Spencer with a date of birth in April of 1970 was convicted and sentenced to probation for 4 criminal charges. They were uttering and publishing, which sounds rather weird. In Michigan, this is a serious felony offense that involves knowingly presenting or declaring a false, forged, altered, or counterfeit document as genuine with the intent to defraud or injure. The most typical offense that leads to an uttering and publishing charge is writing a bad check. A Kara Spencer with an April 1970 birthday, who I have eminent reason to believe is the same Kara Spencer with an April 1970 birthday, who up until very, very recently served as the campaign manager for Sarah Rodriguez, was convicted in Michigan on multiple charges of uttering and publishing. 3, in fact. According to Michigan court records that can be found online, the offense was committed on December 19th of 2002 with a final disposition of November 24th, 2003. There was a $25,000 bond that was posted, and the Kara Ann Spencer, who was born in April 1970 and living in Michigan at an address that, again, I am not going to say on the air, is associated with the same Kara Spencer, who up until very recently served as Sarah Rodriguez's campaign manager. She was bound over for trial. She had $25,000 bond. Ultimately, I believe there was a guilty plea, although that is not in the online record that I am looking at right now. And Spencer was sentenced to probation. The 4th charge was officially called financial transaction device, steal or retain without consent. Now, this is a charge in Michigan under MCL 750.157N. That means unlawfully taking, keeping, possessing, hiding, or using someone else's financial transaction device, such as a credit card, debit card, or account access tool without the owner's permission. That is also a felony under Michigan law. The most common, as you could imagine, behavior that leads to this charge is just what it sounds like. You use someone else's credit card, you use someone else's debit card to pay for something. Again, it is impossible to know for sure whether this is the same Kara Ann Spencer, but it would be quite the coincidence if it wasn't. If it is not the same Kara Ann Spencer, I will gladly retract. In fact, it would be a relief to retract what I just reported. I do not believe that to be the case. I believe it to be the same person. It is my very strong suspicion that the Rodriguez campaign had no idea about this. Folks, I have been working literally since last night on this story and was just able to get enough verification that I was comfortable in bringing this to it. It required a whole lot of background checks. It required a whole lot of just cross-referencing a whole lot of data to be able to figure out, because Kara Spencer is not a very common name, but it's common enough where it could be someone else. The name Kara Ann Spencer with the same birthday, or at least a birthday in the same month, very unlikely. She was convicted, folks, of misrepresenting finances. That's what writing a bad check is. You represent that you have the money in the checking account to be able to pay for whatever it is that you're paying for. There is also a long history of judgments against a Kara A. Spencer from apartments that she would live in, that are tied, that are addresses that are tied in various public records to the same Kara Spencer. There is a judgment from 2019, June 12th, 2019, Shiawassee Apartments LLC sued her for non-payment of rent. That led to garnishment of wages. That led to a judgment of several $1,000s. There was also a judgment for a Champion Leasing in the amount of about $6,000. That was for what I believe to be the non-payment of car payments. There are multiple other landlord-tenant disputes, at least one eviction that I am seeing. And there were, as recently as 2024, attempts by the state of Michigan to garnish wages from Kara Spencer that were unsuccessful, because it is my belief that the Department of Corrections, or the specific department that handles wage garnishment in Michigan, did not know that Spencer had relocated in the early 2020s to Madison, Wisconsin. This is rather shocking. And yes, the conviction is 23 years old now, almost 23 years old. But what we see as we go through the behavior of Ms. Spencer, or a woman who shares a lot of the same personal information as Ms. Spencer, is someone who has very serious problems, not just with money, but also with what does appear to be a pattern of not paying or attempting to fraudulently deceive people and entities with which she does business. Folks, all of this is available on the Michigan court's website. Now, how is it that nobody else was able to find this stuff? Well, Michigan's circuit court system does not work like Wisconsin's. Wisconsin has one of the most robust criminal and civil record databases in the entire country. One database, it is commonly known as CCAP. It's the WCCA, Wisconsin Circuit Court Access. It used to be known as the Circuit Court Access page, CCAP. So everybody calls it CCAP. You can look up, you look up one person's name, and it will go through every single one of Wisconsin's 72 counties. Michigan's court system does not work like that. Not only do you need to know the exact county that the offense or the civil judgment took place in, you need to know which specific district court within that county. For the vast majority of Spencer's time in Michigan, she was working in Lansing. And this would probably make a lot of sense, right? Because she was working as a legislative aide. Lansing is the capital of Michigan. She went to Michigan State, which is in East Lansing, Michigan. So she's been in Lansing. From there, I looked at the county of Lansing, that's Ingham County, and just looked for Kara Spencer with the same birth date and with addresses that I knew to be associated with the same Kara Spencer. The reporting that has been done about the now former campaign manager is therefore incomplete, because it just looked at the very short amount of time that she was in Wisconsin. The time she was in Michigan, it is almost certain And again, if Kara Spencer or the Sarah Rodriguez campaign can provide proof that this is a different Kara A. Spencer, who was born in April of 1970 and was living at addresses associated with the same Kara Spencer, I will absolutely retract this report. This is not Dan O'Donnell looking to, further bury Sarah Rodriguez. Okay, this is not that there's no coming back for Rodriguez. She is not going to be the nominee. The campaign is already over. I believe nobody in the campaign knew that the person that Rodriguez had hired has this checkered of a past. I firmly believe that. If, however, it is a different person, I am saying in front of my entire audience, I will make a public apology, but I don't think this is a different person. You can see, folks, why it's taken so long. It's very difficult dealing with another state's public records. It's just not, you have to cross-reference a whole lot of data. You have to cross-reference a whole lot of information. But what this says about the sitting lieutenant governor of the state of Wisconsin is that it appears that somebody who has a record of financial crimes and who has been stiffing landlords and car leasing companies and anyone and everyone else for pretty much her entire adult life, this was the person that the sitting lieutenant governor of the state of Wisconsin chose to run the entire campaign. And not only that, and for a campaign, normally a campaign manager, okay, you've got a checkered financial past, whatever, nobody cares. Okay, because the campaign manager is not doing finances and is not doing compliance. You have a treasurer, you hire a law firm. There's a very, very good Republican attorney who does like compliance issues for everyone. Her name is Lane Ruland. She is a very, very good attorney. You hire somebody like her to ensure that everything is done right. This is where I have some serious questions and serious concerns. Why is the campaign manager saying, no, we don't need to hire a compliance officer. We don't need to hire an outside firm to make sure our finance reports are correct. We don't even need to have the actual campaign treasurer in the loop on our finance reports. I'm going to handle everything. And then all of a sudden, we discover 6 months later that there's way less money than we thought we had. And the person who was put on probation in Michigan for financial crimes, for essentially fraud, that was the only person who was responsible for reporting how much money we had. You see how this is a very, very fraught issue. I am, I guess, very publicly now, I guarantee you Sarah Rodriguez's campaign is listening right now. If there is any comment, please do email me, dod@iheartmedia.com. Again, I am allowing for the possibility that this is not the same person. I just have, it would be very unlikely. Let's just put it that way. I am not saying this to accuse or to defame, but in the interest of getting the most complete information out about what may have happened here and whether or not there was something potentially more nefarious at play, I believe it is very important to understand the complete context of the person who was solely responsible for the finances of a campaign that has completely imploded over very false and very misleading reporting about those finances. All right, we're going to step aside for a break. Dan O'Donnell Show coming right back after this.
From the Lynch Buick GMC of West Bend Total Traffic Center.
Up in Sheboygan County, 57 southbound completely shut down at Highway EH with an accident. Got a stall 4394 northbound at Mitchell Street. That's a stalled truck on the left shoulder. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by The Yard.
Your summer schedule says busy. Your patio should say nap. During By the Yard's July BOGO Bash, buy one piece of cushion furniture and get the second 30% off. Relax, unwind, and save with this limited time offer. And remember, with By the Yard, life is better outdoors.
Dan here, and you got to get to Built Right today. Built Right's Made in America celebration is happening now, but only for a limited time. If you've been thinking about a better night's sleep, Built Right's one location saves you time and money with Wisconsin's largest selection of flippable mattresses. Two-sided mattresses are simply better, giving you 2 times the materials, 2 times the comfort, and 2 times the durability. Built Right has 36 flippable mattress models made in the USA by Therapeutic, Restonic, Shiftman, Comfort Sleep, and Gold Bond. From affordable favorites to luxurious handcrafted mattresses made with natural materials, you'll find plush, firm, pillow top, and heavy-duty models. Plus, Built Right has the lowest prices on heirloom mattresses. For 98 years, families have trusted locally and family-owned Built Right. It's no wonder Built Right has been voted best place to shop. Open Tuesday through Saturday, Sunday and Monday closed to be with family and friends. Tell them Dan sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
Billy the Billy Goat here. Not every roofer can handle the tough jobs, but a Billy Goat can. At Billy Goat Roofing, we're built for the steep, the storm damaged, and we offer a 50-year leak-free warranty. Billy Goat Roofing was just voted best in Milwaukee for roofing. Get honest answers, reliable work, and a roof that's ready for Wisconsin weather. Call Billy Goat Roofing for your free inspection. Always sure-footed when it matters most. Visit BillyGoatRoofing.com.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
We're the Libby family
at Do-It-Yourself Bathroom Center near State Fair on 62nd and Greenfield.
If your bathroom needs work, we're the place to go.
Our people really know their stuff, and we install.
Plus, nobody beats our prices. Remember our slogan,
I did it myself at Do-It-Yourself.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your #1 preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
This is WISN. From Wisconsin to the world and everywhere in between, the Mark Belling Podcast. My take on everything. Season 2 is underway. New episodes drop Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday on iHeart or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. In the opening segment of the hour, we reported exclusively on what I believe to be something that has been overlooked by essentially the entire rest of the press. We actually did a deep dive into the past of Sarah Rodriguez's now former campaign manager, Kara Spencer, who the Rodriguez campaign said was solely responsible for the just, for lack of a better word, fraudulent campaign finance reports that caused one of the biggest scandals, I think, in the history of Wisconsin politics, that destroyed the Rodriguez campaign. There is no coming back from this, folks. You are just not going to come back. Spencer, it was reported shortly after this implosion, had a couple of decisions against her in Madison that resulted in civil judgments. And this was seen as, okay, well, this is sort of starting to add up. There was an eviction, Block 88 LLC filed an eviction notice against Spencer. Boy, is this exactly 1 year ago today, 7/16/2020. Today's July 16th, right? Yeah, exactly 1 year ago. And then earlier, that same entity, that it was an apartment complex on, I think, Pinckney Street. they had sued her for non-payment of rent, and they wanted her out. It eventually became an eviction, and I believe that she was evicted. The exact same thing was happening in Michigan to this woman for 20 years. There was garnishment of wages as a result of non-payment of rent. There were evictions. And very tellingly, there were criminal convictions for what's known in Michigan as uttering and publishing. It's basically writing bad checks or stealing based on some fraudulent declaration. Typically, the charge, it's a felony in Michigan, and it typically does involve writing a bad check. A woman named Kara Spencer, who has the same birth month and year and is listed as having an address that is tied in public records databases to the same Kara Spencer, who now lives in Madison, Wisconsin, and until very recently was working as Sarah Rodriguez's campaign manager. I have very strong reason to believe it is the same person, Kara Ann Spencer, with the same birth date and the same addresses. I am allowing for the possibility it's not the same person. If it is not, again, I will retract the story happily. I believe it is the same person. I believe it would be a remarkable thing if it was not. That Kara Ann Spencer was convicted of 3 counts of felony uttering and publishing, meaning essentially writing bad checks or fraud, some form of fraud, as well as 1 count, also a felony, of theft by the use of someone else's financial device. Usually it's the theft of a credit card or a debit card or just using somebody else's account to make purchases. Man, if that's a crime, can I get my 15-year-old son for making unauthorized payments in Minecraft? Can I ring him up on charge? Because periodically, no, he's always very good. In fact, last night he came to me and he asked, all his friends were playing some video game that he wanted. And he's like, can I get this video game? It's $50. And I said, you have $50? He gives me $50 cash. Yes, you can use my card and get the thing. But periodically, I will just get an in-game purchase. And, okay, all right. Sometimes my daughter will get Robux. I'm a little nervous. She got a cell phone yesterday. Yeah, I know. 12-year-old girl. She was, are you ready for this? She's going into 7th grade. Her grade, I believe the class is 100 kids, something like that. You combine schools when you go to middle school. Ours is weird. It's a combined middle and high school. And she's... Out of 100 kids, she and another girl were the last 2 to not have cell phones when they were 11. We held out for as long as we could. She got a cell phone. So if I start to see unauthorized Robux charges, can I get her up on a charge of uttering and publishing? using someone else's financial device? This, I've got to be careful what I say here because I don't want to make too much of a leap here. But we have someone who is in charge of a campaign who didn't want anyone else dealing with the campaign finances or the reporting. We have someone who in Madison was not paying her rent and was getting evicted. In Michigan, there is someone with the same name who is not paying her rent, getting evicted, having her wages garnished, not paying the car loan back that she took out, and appears to have been criminally convicted of financial crimes. I've got some very serious questions about what the actual motive was for why the campaign was not accurately reporting finances? Was it to cover up some sort of other malfeasance? I do believe with this new reporting that we are doing now, the question needs to be asked, was there potentially some embezzlement from this campaign? I am not saying I do not have any proof of that, but something is seriously not adding up here. And the thing that I think any investigator, any prosecutor, anyone who deals with this sort of stuff would tell you the most likely explanation as to why all of a sudden a whole ton of money is missing from a campaign that they have no idea. And one day they're reporting 30,000. Oh, no, it's 600,000. Oh, no, it's actually 200,000. And it's only one person who apparently was dealing with the finances, because the campaign treasurer, we were told, was just a figurehead and was signing off on these documents that she didn't prepare, but were rather prepared by somebody else, somebody who has a very, very checkered financial past. There are some very uncomfortable questions, I think, that need to be asked here. Dan O'Donnell Show coming right back.
From the Lynch GM Superstore in Burlington Total Traffic Center.
Northbound 4394 at Mitchell Street, you got a stalled truck off to the left shoulder. Southbound delays from the Marquette down to the KK River. 894 westbound tight from 27 to 60th, and eastbound from the Hale to 68th. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by the Yard.
Your summer schedule says busy. Your patio should say nap. During By the Yard's July BOGO Bash, buy one piece of cushion furniture and get the second 30% off. Relax, unwind, and save with this limited time offer. And remember, with By the Yard, life is better outdoors.
Do you owe the IRS or state back taxes? That stress hits hard. ClearPath Tax Strategies is local, right here in Wisconsin. The #1 team of experienced tax professionals who believe there's a solution to every tax problem. If you owe $20,000 or more, we can get you the lowest possible settlement. Call 262-786-4442. That's 262-786-4442. Call ClearPath Tax Strategies today and get relief.
Hey, business owners, want to sell your business? Then call Lake Country Advisors. This summer, we'd love to invite you to our new office on Pewaukee Lake. It's our same trusted team delivering the same proven results, just with a new conference room out on our boat. So if you want to successfully sell your business, then visit us today at LakeCountryAdvisors.com and schedule your free consultation out on the lake. Local, experienced, trusted, and now on Pewaukee Lake, we are Lake Country Advisors.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go.
Sometimes when you walk into a business, you get that vibe that these people really got this thing nailed down. That's exactly the vibe I got when I bought my SUV at Holiday Mazda. The Holiday staff completely focused and professional, but also relaxed and upbeat and genuinely friendly. Best experience I've ever had buying a vehicle. I loved it, and you know what? So will you.
Celebrate summer roads and get more to move you in a new Mazda from Holiday. Stack our low simplified price with 0% financing and deferred payments or other great offers on Mazda favorites now.
Oh, we are all looking for adventure.
Save even more with Mazda Loyalty Bonus Cash if you or someone in your household already drives Mazda.
Living free, and I was meant to be free. Meant to be free.
The More to Move You sales event is on at Holiday Mazda Fond du Lac and HolidayMazda.com.
It's worth the trip.
I'm attorney Tom Grieve with Divergent Family Law, here to talk about facts and myths about divorce. Do you think as long as you play nice, so will your spouse? That's a myth. Many divorces start that way, but before you know it, one disagreement unravels everything you previously thought was settled. Have you heard it's cheaper to get divorced without an attorney? That's a myth. It's not. The assets lost by not knowing what you are legally entitled to are much more costly than an attorney. Have you heard attorneys bill by the minute and will waste time so that they can charge you more? At Divergent Family Law, that's a myth. We offer free consultations for divorce and provide you with a flat quote for representation. You won't have to wonder what you'll get charged. The facts are you'll get your best possible outcome when you have an experienced attorney at your side. Our attorneys have seen it all. They know the laws and they know the judges. They'll make sure that you get your fair share or better. Contact us today at divergentfamilylaw.com.
I'm Tom Tiffany, and for some reason, Madison Democrats say I'm too cliche. Well, I did grow up milking cows on a Wisconsin dairy farm. My mom quilts. Hi. I've been a dam tender, boat captain, husband, and girl dad with perfect attendance at 20 Nutcrackers. I love the Packers, Brewers, Badgers, and of course the Bucks. Butterburgers, old fashions, everything Wisconsin except Madison politics. I'm Tom Tiffany. I'm running for governor to bring down the cost of living by cutting property taxes, utility rates, and red tape. By stopping institutional investors on Wall Street from buying our homes and big data from bulldozing our farmland. Finally, I will audit every state government agency to root out all the waste and fraud you and I both know is happening in Madison. Cliche? You betcha.
Paid for by Tiffany for Wisconsin.
Dave Spano, CEO of Annex Wealth Management, a fee-only fiduciary.
Fee-only fiduciary really further separates the folks that either say fiduciary some of the time or best interest altogether. And it's not just that alone. It is, of course, everything else that we can bring to the table that this just isn't asset management. It is estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, all of it wrapped together in one transparent fee.
Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management? Click the Get Started button at annexwealth.com.
iHeartRadio FIFA World Cup update.
Stage is set for a heavyweight battle in the World Cup final as Spain takes on Argentina Sunday for a chance at glory.
Spain, for the second time in their history, will play in the FIFA World Cup final.
Spain has set the record for the most shutouts in a single World Cup with 6, while Argentina is trying to become the first repeat champion in over 60 years.
Download the iHeartRadio app for live Fox coverage of every game.
WISN.
Big taxers, big spenders, political cronies, global warming alarmists, charlatans, liars, scam artists, and feeders at the public trough. The threats to your happiness are many, but that's where we can help. News Talk 1130 WISN. Our truth shall keep you free.
To the Dan O'Donnell Show. It is conservative thought, not just talk. We do it each and every day. So why is it that Republicans appear to be doing way better in the fundraising race than you would think for a party that is going to get absolutely smoked in the midterm elections? In fact, the Republican Party of Wisconsin, the Assembly Committee, RAC, the Republican Assembly Campaign Committee, the CERS, SERS, the Committee to Elect a Republican Senate, they are all reporting way better fundraising, markedly better fundraising than their Democrat counterparts. Tom Tiffany blew the doors off of fundraising, whereas his Democrat opponents, we've spent a lot of time this week on one of them, Sarah Rodriguez, her campaign finance questions, all of whom have not really been sufficiently answered. She filed an addendum to her campaign finance report today, saying that, okay, are you ready for the whiplash here? She said last week that the campaign had $1.5 million cash on hand, and they were prepared to make a $1.2 million television ad buy. Then on Monday, after it was revealed they had nowhere near that money, Rodriguez said, well, wait, we actually have about $200,000 in cash on hand. Campaign finance report that was due yesterday showed it was actually $34,000 in cash on hand. And then just a couple of minutes ago, maybe an hour ago, they file an addendum to that report that says, no, we actually have about $600,000 in cash on hand. I have a difficult time believing a word of it. None of the candidates have really raised a lot of money. Now, this is to be expected somewhat because it's a crowded Democrat field and nobody is sure who's going to emerge from that field. And a lot of the money is going to come in after the primary for the winner, we think. But what is it about this year that just in the last couple of weeks, and I've heard anecdotally from Republican sources that there has been a surge of donations, there's been a surge of enthusiasm, and there are a lot of people who believe that Republicans might not be as dead in the water as one might think, especially here in Wisconsin. What gives? What changed? It's the rise of socialism. It is the New York primaries that people woke up to a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, wait a second. There are socialists who are going to be going to Congress because if you win a primary in what's called New York City's commie corridor, I'm going to take a wild guess that even as an open communist, you're probably going to defeat the Republican and win election to the House of Representatives. That changed everything. The idea that there really was this massive surge of socialist candidates, there really was this invasion of socialism in this country. And then to have that followed by a number of socialists also winning in the Colorado primaries about a week after that. And then the rise of Francesca Hong here in Wisconsin. That, I think, is a black swan event. And a black swan event is one that isn't anticipated, comes out of nowhere, and it's in the financial world, something that just tanks markets. Trump bombing Iran was a black swan event in late February that impacted markets. It was not expected. It could not have been seen. And it just happened, and it roiled the entire world. That's a black swan event. 9/11, black swan event. In 2022, there was a black swan event that was anticipated. There was a case that was before the Supreme Court that was going to potentially overturn Roe v. Wade. It was not anticipated, though, how the political impact was going to not be evenly distributed among the people who cheered abortion being essentially outlawed, or at least put back to the states, which it was the correct decision. Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health was absolutely the correct decision. Politically, it was a disaster for Republicans. The black swan event was how voters reacted to Roe v. Wade being overturned and how Democrats were able to message that and say, we stand up for women's health care and women's freedom and women's, we stand up for women. Republicans did not have a counter for that. As a result, even though Republicans did not control the White House, they were furious after the 2020 presidential election. You would think that they were destined for a red wave, the likes of which they saw in the two Obama midterms of 2010 and 2014. It didn't happen. And the reason was the abortion decision. Roe v. Wade became a central issue that nobody saw coming in the 2022 midterms. It was supposed to be about Joe Biden's incompetence. It was supposed to be about inflation. It wasn't. It was about abortion. Case in point, what was the ad that Tony Evers ran incessantly against Tim Michels? Was it about inflation? Was it about Biden? No. It was his answer on abortion. It was Matt Smith of Upfront asking Michels, so your position on abortion is the same as Wisconsin's 1848 law that it should be outlawed. I will never until the day I die forget Michels' answer. That's correct. 2 words, 1 contraction word, and 1 sound. That's correct. Ended Michels' campaign. Any chance he had of unseating Tony Evers ended. We didn't see it then because we didn't know the impact until after the election of the Roe v. Wade decision. I believe the surge of socialism is the Republican Roe v. Wade decision. Justin Phillips, great writer over at Heartland Post, has a fantastic column comparing the 2 black swan events. Now, I'm not saying that Republicans are suddenly going to surge to the majority in the House. I still believe Democrats are the overwhelming favorites. But I think what you are seeing that's been reflected in the fundraising numbers reported yesterday and today, Republicans just dominating fundraising, is a direct response to the rise of socialism across the country and especially here. If you look at the odds on Kalshi or PredictIt or one of the other markets for who is going to win the Democrat nomination, Francesca Huang now has an insurmountable lead. It's something like 65%. Sarah Rodriguez is cratered all the way to 1%. Joel Brennan, I think, is at about 1%. Nobody else really has a prayer. Because of that, and because political insiders have thought that Francesca Huang was sort of inevitable for a couple months now, and because of what happened in New York City, I believe that has injected a totally new dynamic in this midterm election. We're going to be back to wrap things up here on the Dan O'Donnell Show in just a second.
From the Lynch Chevrolet of Kenosha Total Traffic Center.
Much better now. Southbound on 43, just slow from Fond du Lac to the Marquette. Still heavy, though, westbound 94, 27 to Hawley, and eastbound starting at 68th, clearing up after 35th. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Aleve. At some point, body pain may creep in and become your reality that day, but Aleve is here to keep you moving. One pill gives you up to 12 hours of body pain relief, so don't let pain hold you back. Try Aleve today. Use as directed.
Get started with your no-hassle refi checkup by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com.
Just doing some roofing on another lovely Wisconsin day.
Wisconsin in summer. No better place on earth. There is a neighborliness here you just can't fake. The kind where you bring a casserole when a neighbor's going through a hard time. That's what we're trying to protect. Our grandparents built this state on relationships, not fine print. Well, somewhere along the way, though, somebody decided to make business hard, racing to be the biggest, and folks are getting left behind. We need to get back to doing things the old-fashioned way, and my friends over at Old Fashioned Roofing are doing just that. Veteran-owned, real veterans, not trying to be the biggest roofing company in southeastern Wisconsin, just the right one for you. So give them a jingle, 262-229-8909, or visit them at oldfashionedroofing.com.
So raise a glass, shake a hand for this old-fashioned brand. Whoop, that's old-fashioned roofing. Whoop.
Hi, I'm Jenna, an Ortho ASAP provider and mom of 2 young athletes. At Ortho ASAP, we understand the urgency of sports injuries. Our walk-in clinic offers expert care for sprains, fractures, and more. Plus, our on-site imaging means faster diagnosis and treatment. We're here to help your family stay active and healthy. Stop by our locations in Brookfield or Pewaukee or online at orthowisconsin.com. Ortho ASAP, immediate, specialized care you can count on.
Hi, I'm Ashley, an Ortho ASAP provider and mom of 3 young athletes. At Ortho ASAP, we understand the urgency of sports injuries. Our walk-in clinic offers expert care for sprains, fractures, and more. Plus, our on-site imaging means faster diagnosis and treatment. We're here to help your family stay active and healthy. Stop by at our locations in Brookfield or Pewaukee or online at orthowisconsin.com. Ortho ASAP, immediate, specialized care that you can count on.
Dan Voss from Cut and Go here. Spring of 1917, just 14 years after the Wright brothers' first flight, America, determined to darken the skies over Europe with 12,000 combat aircraft, set about crafting 100 million board feet of Pacific Northwest Sitka spruce lumber.
Sonny Voss here. The rest is history. American ingenuity, determination, and might rescued humanity from tyranny. Dad harnessed American ingenuity, developing the remote control, truck-mounted articulated grapple saw Cut and Go uses to safely dominate landscapes.
Grind and Go is committed to your property being eyesore and trip hazard free. Cut and Go will take down dead trees for you to parse into firewood or chip for you to spread, or we can take with us.
Plant and Go designs historic treescapes, delivers and plants in time for you to celebrate your freedom this year.
Happy 250th anniversary. A Tons of Trees movement. CutandGoTrees.com. That's CUTNGO trees.com.
Hi, it's Jay Weber. Let's talk about the roof on your home. A lot of you will need to replace your roof this summer, but be forewarned, there are roofing companies out there that skip over the most important part of the process, the attic ventilation. You see, if your attic doesn't have proper air circulation, it can cause problems such as mold and wood rot, leaks in the winter, not to mention higher AC bills in the summer. This is one of the reasons I recommend Semperfi Roofing to my listeners. Their process begins with a free 21-point roof inspection that includes a thorough inspection of your attic. They know that if the ventilation isn't right, the roof will be built on a shaky foundation. Every Semperfi roof comes with a well-thought-out attic ventilation plan, and that's why they can offer a 50-year leak-free guarantee on every roof they install. And right now, money-saving discounts and financing incentives are available. Call for your free 21-point roof inspection and estimate today, 262-600-2910, or book an appointment at SemperfiRoofing.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
Critical events drive critical times, and these are the times to learn critical lessons. Recent events should teach us that the struggle for liberty is ongoing, and forces that are misguided or sinister stand at the ready to take our liberties away. At News Talk 1130 WISN, we are dedicated to identifying the risks to our freedoms as they arise, and to alert you to those risks, valuing our liberties and our rights. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
Just a couple of seconds left here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Yeah, not minutes, seconds. Time flies when you are covering a whole lot and having fun while doing so. Big story that we broke at the top of this hour regarding the civil and criminal record of the now former campaign manager of Sarah Rodriguez out of Michigan. We are going to have that up on the Heartland Post either tonight or tomorrow morning for you. And we are back tomorrow. Where I am very, I think we are going to see potentially Rodriguez drop out of this race tomorrow evening. All right, we are out of time here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Talk to you tomorrow, 3:06 p.m. We do it all again.